Tonight, we journey high into the Himalayan plateau, to a place where the air is thin, the sky vast, and time moves like a slow prayer carried on the wind. Nestled among the snow-dusted stones and waving prayer flags lies a small Tibetan monastery, remote, unhurried, and seemingly serene. But look closer. Beneath the silence is rhythm, of bells, of footfalls, of whispered mantras and flickering butter lamps. And within this world of discipline and ritual lives a cat. Not just any cat, a temple cat. Quiet, watchful, old in the way that only cats can be. Tonight, you will become that cat. And you may find that while monks meditate and pilgrims chant, the life of a temple cat is far from restful. Let your breath slow. Let the day melt away. And imagine yourself now at 12,000 feet above sea level, where the sky brushes the rooftops and your paws pad softly over stone worn, smooth by centuries. So you want to know what I did today? Let me show you. I awoke before the second bell. My fur is thick with mountain dust, warmed only by the last embers of a butter lamp. The stone floor is cold beneath my paws, a kind of cold that never leaves, no matter the season. The sun has not yet crested the mountains, but the horizon glows a pale blue. I stretch, slow and deliberate. One leg, then another. The scent of incense lingers in the corridor outside. Frankincense, or perhaps juniper. It's always some blend of smoke and memory. In the main hall, the monks are already gathering. Their crimson robes swish gently as they move, their bare feet making no sound. I watch from my perch beside the altar. My job, unofficial though it may be, is to guard the butter lamps. The younger monks can be careless, their sleeves too loose. One flick of a tail here, a silent nudge there, and disaster is quietly averted. No one thanks me, they never do. But I keep the watch nonetheless. Outside, the morning air bites, sharp with frost. I patrol the outer courtyard. There are ravens bold and brash, who think themselves owners of the sky. I do not fight them, I watch them. A stare, when held long enough, is often more powerful than claws. The cook's door creaks open. The scent of sampa, barley flour, and yak butter floats out. A small piece falls from a monk's sleeve. He pretends not to notice, but I do. I slip forward, as silent as shadow, and claim it with grace. Another monk winks at me. They think I am the thief, but in truth, I am their conscience. And so it goes. The day unwinds in the mountain air, the prayer flags snapping in the breeze like the fingers of some immense, unseen hand. The day unwinds in the steady drone of chants, half heard, half felt. The day unwinds in the comforting routine of measured steps, measured breaths, and measured kindnesses. Today was a good day, when the sky turned the color of old bruises and the mountains loomed dark against the bruised sky. I found a perch to watch the twilight settle over the temple. Below me, a young monk hurried along the corridor. His shoulders slumped and his eyes were downcast. He has been scolded, I knew. For what, I did not care. Such things happen in the winding stairways and echoey halls. Mistakes are made, words spoken too sharply, moments of distraction. And as the evening deepened and the stars began to prick the darkening sky, I curled beside the flickering altar light once more. My tail tucked close, my ears alert, still for even in the deepest silence of the temple, someone is always sneaking one last piece of butter cake. It happened when the moon had climbed halfway up the sky and the night wind rattled the window panes. I heard the rustle of cloth and the scrape of a chair leg. Then the telltale clatter of crumbs. Someone was settling in for a secret snack. I padded softly down the hall. In the flickering lamplight, shadows danced like phantoms. I paused, my ears twitching, my eyes narrowed, my whiskers trembling. There he was, perched on a window seat, a book in his lap, crumbs clinging to his lashes. He froze as I approached. Guilt and amusement tugged at the corners of his mouth. He offered me a crumb, and I accepted it delicately, as if it were an offering. He sighed, and I could hear the rumble of his amusement echoing in his chest. I lapped at the water left out for offerings, my reflection staring back serenely. It was our ritual, his carelessness, and my forgiveness. It was our bond. Later, after the moon had climbed higher and the night wind had grown colder, I returned to the warmth of the main hall. The butter lamps flickered, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The scent of incense filled the air, mingling with the earthy musk of the monks and the musty smell of ancient prayer wheels. I curled up on my rug, my fur brushing against the worn fibers. Sleep came easily, my dreams filled with chasing butterflies through fields of butter-churned cream. And in the quiet hours before dawn, when the temple slept, I walked the halls, a silent shadow, a watchful spirit. I was the keeper of the peace, the protector of dreams, the friend of the monks in their solitude. They called me Temple Cat, but to them, I was more than just a cat. I was a part of their lives, a thread in the tapestry of their days. As the first rays of sunlight touched the mountain peaks, rousing the sleeping world, I knew that another day had begun in the timeless halls of the temple. Another day of routines and rituals, of fleeting moments and silent companionship. Another day just like any other day, yet holding within it the promise of new beginnings and the echoes of yesterday. This is my story, and if you like it, please share it with your friends. Let them know about all the adventures we have planned for the future. You see, my life at the temple is never dull. Each day brings new challenges, new joys, and new opportunities to teach these clumsy, forgetful monks a thing or two about responsibility and mindfulness. Take this morning, for instance. I awoke to the sweet aroma of yak butter tea wafting through the corridors. My human companions had already risen, their voices hushed as they recited their morning prayers. I stretched languidly, unfurling myself from my tight little ball of fluff and flexing my paws, each movement a symphony of grace and ease. But as I padded toward the kitchen, drawn by the promise of a delicious breakfast, disaster struck. A careless flick of a tail sent a stack of freshly laundered prayer flags tumbling to the ground. The vibrant fabric fluttered in the sudden draft, swirling around my paws like fallen autumn leaves. Startled, I leaped onto a nearby table, my heart pounding in my chest. From my vantage point, I surveyed the scene, my eyes narrowed in assessment. The flags were strewn across the courtyard, their colorful patterns muted by the gray stone beneath. With a deep breath, I gracefully descended from my lofty perch and began my investigation. Each flag represented a different aspiration, a silent plea for compassion, wisdom, and strength. And I, as the temple cat, was duty-bound to restore order to this sacred space. One by one, I gathered the fallen flags, my paws brushing against their rough edges. As I worked, the monks emerged from their meditation chambers, their faces etched with the serenity of early morning calm. Each time I met their gaze, I dipped my head in acknowledgement, my emerald eyes shining with mischief. They understood my role here, the balance I brought to their disciplined lives. With the last flag secured, I stood back to admire my handiwork, basking in the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. The flags fluttered gently in the breeze, a silent testament to the power of mindfulness and the importance of even the smallest details. And so my day continued, a tapestry woven with moments of chaos and calm, of mischief and meditation. There was the time I discovered a hidden stash of fish, fresh from the morning catch, or when I chased a wayward butterfly through the prayer wheel archway, sending a flock of pigeons flapping into the sky. And then there were the quiet moments, the stolen sunbeams, the gentle strokes from a passing hand, the soft murmur of evening chants. Through it all, I was a constant presence, a furry shadow slipping between the monks and their routines, a purring reminder of the beauty that can be found in the midst of the ordinary. here in the temple. I am more than just a temple cat. I am a teacher, a companion, and a keeper of balance. If you'd like to join me on my adventures, please follow along. Who knows what we might find next? Perhaps a forgotten scroll with prophecies about a great white cat who will bring enlightenment to all the careless monks in the world. Or maybe just another feather to chase, or a sunbeam to nap in. But either way, I'm here to guide you through it all. One purr, one paw print, and one head bump at a time. So come with me now on this journey, and let us discover together the magic that unfolds within these ancient walls. In Tibet, history and myth walk side by side, like old friends who no longer need to speak aloud. The stones remember. The wind carries echoes, and some say the cats listen. Not all temples have cats, but those that do often say little about them. They arrive without being invited, they stay without being fed, and they disappear without farewell. These cats are not strays, nor are they pets. In many whispered traditions, they are something older, something softer than gods, but more aware than beasts. Among certain elder monks, the ones who no longer write, who speak only in slow nods and half smiles, there is a belief in what they call the Silent Watchers. Cats who have walked the temple walls longer than anyone remembers, who do not blink at thunder, who do not flinch at death, who do not purr, unless they mean to. One such tale speaks of the library cat of Yarlung, a white cat, blind in one eye, who appeared only when the sacred texts were being copied. If a scribe was careless, if ink was spilled, or a prayer misspelled, the cat would lie across the parchment, unmoving until the mistake was corrected. Another speaks of the snow cat of Lahari, who was said to walk through fresh snowfall without leaving prints. Seen perched atop the monastery gate during nights of strange omens, red moons, whispering winds, lightning without thunder. In some villages, it is believed that when a child dies, their soul may pass briefly into a mountain cat, not as punishment, but as a pause, a moment to reflect in furred silence before the long journey toward rebirth. One scroll, kept locked in the archives of a cliffside retreat, describes a meditation technique called cat gaze. It teaches the practitioner to mirror the way a cat watches, eyes soft, unfocused, but alert, absorbing the world without needing to react. Monks who mastered this were said to gain extraordinary stillness, to the point that birds would perch upon their shoulders, and snow would land on their brows without melting. These stories, of course, are not written in official histories. They do not appear in teachings or doctrine, but the monks know them. And the cats, they never deny them. Perhaps it is not that cats are sacred, but rather that they are always nearby when sacred things are happening. At the birth of a lama, a cat is sometimes seen watching from the window. At the burning of incense, one curls quietly beneath the altar table. At the moment of a death, a paw might brush past a doorway, unseen. There is even an old proverb, rarely spoken aloud: when no one listens, the cat still hears. This is a small temple up high on a ridge. Down in the valley, farmers tend fields of barley. Up here, prayers rise with the smoke from the prayer flags. Sometimes, too, a ginger cat will climb the stairs to the prayer wheel. She doesn't spin the wheel. She seems only to watch. Her name is Palmo. She came 3 years ago, just after sunset. No one knows where she came from or how old she is. She has no collar, no identifying marks except one cloudy green eye. She doesn't beg for food, but she takes fish from my hand. She sleeps most days near the shrine to Chod Gonpo, the wrathful protector. When someone dies in the village, she follows along for the funeral. When a family has a bad dream, she sits on their porch and stares into the darkness. Sometimes at night, I hear her softly calling, almost like a sigh. She doesn't like other cats nor dogs. She mostly keeps to herself. She does not climb trees or jump high. She seems somehow smaller than other cats. I think she is a watcher. Something very old has returned. The cats come and go. They stay as long as they wish, or leave as quickly as they came. They do not ask for entry. They simply appear. They seem to be drawn to this place for reasons of their own. This temple, now over 300 years old, was built into the side of a hill. The front wall has collapsed, and the roof sags low in the middle. Still, faithful pilgrims come up the long stone steps to spin the prayer wheels and light butter lamps. They come to escape the dust of the valleys and find a moment's peace among the chortens and prayer flags. They also come because it is said that ghosts linger here. Ghosts and cats. No one comes to this temple simply for the view. Few see the beauty in these crumbling stones. Few feel the breeze as anything but cold. For a temple to be hidden away like this, it must have something worth protecting, something powerful enough to endure so many centuries. And yet, what draws the most attention are the cats. I first met Karma at a temple fair. He was a large black cat with eyes like polished amber. He was regal, almost haughty in his bearing, and he held court beneath an old apple tree. Everyone wanted to feed him, but he accepted offerings only from certain hands. He seemed to know who had brought him fish or yak cheese. That day, I saw him leap onto the roof of a tea stall and stare down at the crowd. He did not blink. He did not flinch. He simply regarded us with an air of amused detachment. I learned later that he visits the temple every spring during the prayer festival. He appears out of nowhere and spends the 5 days watching the masked dances and chanting monks. Then he disappears again until next year. Like many things here, he cannot be explained. We can only try to understand. There are more cats than people in some regions of Tibet, more cats than houses, fields, or hills. Many are sleek and strong, able to hunt marmots and mountain goats. Others are thin and scrappy, surviving on scraps of food left outside homes in monasteries. Some are spotted, others entirely white or black as ink. They prowl across the barren landscape, slinking through ancient cities, leaping from rock to rock, disappearing into caves and overpasses. No one knows where they go, why they vanish for weeks or months at a time, only to reappear as if nothing had happened. There are cats in remote hermitages, tended by old monks who haven't seen another soul for years. There are cats in busy marketplaces, weaving between legs and over piles of grain. They come into homes uninvited and sleep across doorways, as if barring the way. They are everywhere, belonging to no one, sacred to many. If you spend enough time in Tibet, you will see them. You will encounter their knowing eyes and quiet grace. You will feel their gaze upon you as you walk the rocky paths and turn the prayer wheels. You will wonder if they are ghosts or guides, if they are blessings or omens. And you will know, deep in your bones, that you are being watched. Even now, as I sit here trying to piece together fragments of stories and memories, I feel the weight of their presence beside me. I hear the echo of paws on stone and the rustle of fur. I see the flash of a tail or the glint of an eye in the fading light. And I am reminded that though we may never fully understand them, we are not alone. Thank you for watching this episode. Our film crew spent several months traveling throughout the Tibetan Plateau. Over the course of our travels, we had many profound experiences that continue to influence us deeply. Our visit to Tibet was both inspiring and humbling. The natural beauty of the region left us in awe, but it was the resilience and spirituality of the Tibetan people that truly touched us. We hope that our audience will come to appreciate the unique culture and traditions of this special place as we have. It is said that in Tibet, history and myth walk side by side, like old friends who no longer need to speak aloud. The stones remember, the wind carries echoes, and some say, the cats listen. Not every temple has cats, but those that do often say little about them. They arrive without being invited. They stay without being fed, and they disappear without farewell. These cats are not strays, nor are they pets. In many whispered traditions, they are something older, something softer than gods, but more aware than beasts. Among certain elder monks, the ones who no longer write, who speak only in slow nods and half smiles, there is a belief in what they call the Silent Watchers. Cats who have walked the temple walls longer than anyone remembers, who do not blink at thunder, who do not flinch at death, who do not purr, unless they mean to. One such tale speaks of the library cat of Yarlung, a white cat, blind in one eye, who appeared only when the sacred texts were being copied. If a scribe was careless, if ink was spilled, or a prayer misspelled, the cat would lie across the parchment, unmoving until the mistake was corrected. Another speaks of the snow cat of Lahari, who is said to walk through fresh snowfall without leaving prints. Seen perched atop the monastery gate during nights of strange omens, red moons, whispering winds, lightning without thunder. In some villages, it is believed that when a child dies, their soul may pass briefly into a mountain cat, not as punishment, but as a pause, a moment to reflect in furred silence before the long journey toward rebirth. One scroll, kept locked in the archives of a cliffside retreat, describes a meditation technique called cat gaze. It teaches the practitioner to mirror the way a cat watches, eyes soft, unfocused, but alert, absorbing the world without needing to react. Monks who mastered this were said to gain extraordinary stillness, to the point that birds would perch upon their shoulders, and snow would land on their brows without melting. Now, these stories, of course, are not written in official histories. They do not appear in teachings or doctrine, but the monks know them, and the cats, they never deny them. Perhaps it is not that cats are sacred, but rather that they are always nearby when sacred things are happening. At the birth of a lama, a cat is sometimes seen watching from the window. At the burning of incense, one curls quietly beneath the altar table. At the moment of a death, a paw might brush past a doorway, unseen. There is even an old proverb, rarely spoken aloud. When no one listens, the cat still hears. In this way, the cats of Tibet are not simply animals. They are soft witnesses, record keepers of stillness, guardians of forgotten doorways between one life and the next. And they keep their stories tucked tightly within them, like warmth, curled deep in the belly on a winter night. But come now, let us descend from the mountain temples and step into a different world entirely, where cats walk not through frost and incense, but through carved halls, velvet cushions, and rooms of gold. The sun bleeds color across the sky, staining clouds the hues of old apricots and apricot pits. Shadows stretch thin fingers toward the horizon, and in this light, the great fortress of Yumbilagang Palace seems to glow with memories. Here, amidst the silken shadows, there is another kind of mystery unfolding. For within these golden halls, there are tailies spun around a very different kind of cat, the kind that walks not through prayer and pilgrimage, but through moonlit courtyards and quiet chambers. They say that in the days before electricity, oil lamps were lit in every room of the palace. Every evening, when the royal family had retired for the night, the servants would blow out all but one lamp, leaving a single pool of warm light in the center of each chamber. Then they would wait, for in this flickering darkness, something stirred. A rustle among the silks, a whisper against the polished floors. And then, emerging from the corners and shadows, they came, dozens of sleek, luminous cats. They would prowl the length and breadth of the room, bathing in the one bright lamp, their coats catching the firelight until it seemed that each was spun from liquid gold. As silently as they came, they vanished back into the shadows, waiting for the next nightly ritual. It is said that once, a young prince questioned his nurse about these mysterious cats, and she, unable to hide a smile, told him that they were descendants of the great sky dancer, a magical feline spirit who lived in the highest heavens. When the sky dancer wished to visit the mortal realm, she would shed her celestial form and become a cat, prowling the earth until dawn, bringing news of the heavens on her breath. Some nights, she chose the royal palace, and so her descendants haunted its halls still. To test this tale, the prince hid that night, armed with a bow and arrow, determined to catch one of the glowing cats. But as the hours passed and the first hints of dawn touched the sky, he grew weary. Lowering his bow, he saw that it too was made of moonlight and stardust. And in that moment, he knew he could not harm these creatures. And so he watched, hidden in the palace shadows, as the cats returned to their places around the last lamp. They gathered close, forming a circle as if in prayer. And one by one, their forms began to shimmer, fading like sunlight on water until each had become a wisp of smoke, floating upward toward the open window. From his hiding place, the prince saw them vanish into the morning sky, carrying their secrets and the scent of faraway stars with them. So it is said that in this place of gold and silk, the cats are not merely cats. They are threads in the tapestry of night, connecting heaven and earth with every silent step. They are messengers, storytellers, dream weavers. They are luminescence made flesh and echoes of divinity, forever bathing in pools of moonlight. The monks of the mountains speak of cats who carry the weight of ages in their paws, who watch over the turning of pages and the turning of lives. But here in the heart of the palace, there are tales of cats whose fur shimmers like captured starlight, who dance in moonlit halls and vanish into the whispers of dawn. And though the palace walls may hold many secrets perhaps, the greatest mystery of all is this: how can we mortals hope to understand the wisdom of a cat who has walked not just our world, but the realms beyond? How can we fathom the depth of a gaze that has seen both earthly dusk and the infinite expanse of stars? How can we comprehend the language of a creature who has conversed not just with humans, but with spirits of the night? The cats of Yumbilagan Palace teach us that some truths are beyond our ken, some mysteries too vast for human minds to grasp. Perhaps the closest we can come is in the stillness of our own twilight years, when the lamps of our lives burn low and the shadows grow long around us. If we listen very carefully, if we sit in the quiet pools of our memories, we might hear the soft rustle of silk, the whisper of polished floors. And if our eyes are sharp, or perhaps a little dim with age, we might see them dancing in the last light, the cats of the evening palace, gliding through the corridors of memory forever, bathing in the light of 1,000 tomorrows. So the next stop on our virtual tour of the world's great cities takes us to the roof of the world, Tibet. We go to the old palace in Lhasa, far below the snow line where the winds soften and the air thickens with warmth and incense. There sits the old palace in Lhasa, once the seat of spiritual royalty, a place of gold-tipped rooftops, long ceremonial corridors, and balconies where silk curtains breathe in the mountain air. Now it is a museum, and here lives a very different kind of cat. You may imagine this cat sleek with a coat brushed daily by quiet hands, eyes the color of oolong tea, movement like poured honey. Her name, if you must know, is Yesh, but she does not respond to it unless she feels like it. Yesh is not a temple cat. She has never chased a mouse or guarded a butter lamp. Her paws have never touched a stone floor. Instead, they press into hand-woven carpets, thick with centuries of devotion and dust. In the mornings, she follows the scent of yak milk warming on the stove. Palace servants bow as she passes, not deeply, but enough. For 25 years, this cat has lived a pampered life in the Potala Palace in Lhasa, the capital of the Tibet Autonomous Region in China. Here are the details. Now let's build a cat tree in the courtyard of the Potala Palace. That's pretty cool. All right, let's take a look inside. Welcome to the Potala Palace. In the heart of Lhasa, Tibet, high in the Himalayan mountains. The Potala Palace stands as a testament to Tibetan history, culture, and spirituality. Perched atop Marpuri Hill, the palace complex is a mesmerizing blend of traditional Tibetan architecture and religious symbolism. Its majestic presence overlooks the bustling city of Lhasa, serving as a constant reminder of the region's rich cultural heritage. The palace's history dates back to the 7th century, when it served as the winter residence of the Dalai Lamas, the spiritual and temporal leaders of Tibet. As we explore the palace, we'll catch glimpses of the luxurious lifestyle these leaders once enjoyed. Imagine lounging on ornate sofas while sipping fragrant butter tea. The palace walls themselves seem to whisper tales of a bygone era. In addition to its historical significance, the Potala Palace is also a sacred site. Many visitors come to pay homage to the Dalai Lama and other religious figures whose presence is deeply felt within the palace grounds. The sight of monks in saffron robes chanting ancient prayers adds a sense of serenity and devotion to the atmosphere. But it's not just about the past. The Potala Palace remains an integral part of contemporary Tibetan culture. Traditional festivals and ceremonies are still held here, offering visitors a unique opportunity to witness vibrant celebrations of Tibetan identity. The air fills with the sound of drums, cymbals, and the haunting notes of traditional instruments, transporting you to another time and place. As we wander through the palace, we encounter skilled artisans demonstrating traditional crafts such as thangka painting and wood carving. Each brushstroke and each carve tells a story, preserving ancient techniques that have been passed down through generations. Walking around the grounds of the palace, we find ourselves immersed in a landscape that complements the grandeur of the main complex. Stroll through serene gardens where manicured paths meander past blooming flowers and tranquil ponds. Find moments of solitude in quiet courtyards where the gentle tinkling of fountains creates a soothing ambience. It's a place where history, religion, and art converge, creating an experience that nourishes the soul and leaves visitors with a profound sense of wonder. In the mornings, she follows the scent of yak butter tea and sweet barley bread baking on the stove. Servants prepare their offerings in the kitchen, placing bowls of creamy yak milk and platters of fresh bread on a low table in the courtyard. Yesh approaches slowly, her amber eyes fixed on the spread. When she is satisfied that the offerings are pure and plentiful, she begins to eat, lapping up the yak milk with relish, her pink tongue darting in and out. She savors the taste, feeling the warmth of the milk spread through her belly. The bread she finds equally delicious, sinking her sharp teeth into the crusty exterior before lapping up the crumbs with her tongue. After breakfast, Yesh heads to her favorite spot, a sunny patch of carpet near a window in the palace's reception room. From here, she can survey her domain, watching the comings and goings of the palace staff. Sometimes she is greeted by friendly faces who scratch behind her ears or stroke her back. Others hurry by without so much as a glance in her direction. But Yesh doesn't mind. She is used to being ignored. After all, she is just a palace cat. She dozes in the sun for a few hours, occasionally twitching her whiskers or flicking her tail. When she wakes, she shakes herself, stretches, and pads over to the windowsill. Outside, Lhasa bustles with activity. Pilgrims and tourists stroll through the Joking Temple, one of the holiest sites in Tibetan Buddhism. Merchants hawk their wares in the Barker Bazaar, and monks chant prayers atop the nearby hills. Yesh watches it all with regal indifference. As the day grows longer, the temperature inside the palace begins to rise. Yesh seeks out a shaded spot on the carpet to nap. She curls into a ball, her sleek black fur glowing faintly in the dim light. The palace is silent now, the staff having gone home for the evening. Yesh is alone, but she doesn't mind. She is used to being alone. As the night grows darker, the temperature inside the palace drops. Yesh shivers and seeks out a draft-free corner to curl up in. She snuggles deeper into herself, trying to conserve body heat. She is too elegant to huddle in a ball, but curling up like this helps. The silence is broken only by the distant sound of chanting monks. Yesh listens for a moment, then closes her eyes. Not the sounds of the city fade away, nor she is within the palace walls. There is a mountain, old even by mountain standards. Its name has long since been lost, not because no one remembers, but because no one ever dared to write it down. They say this mountain does not speak, but it listens. And on certain nights when the wind is too gentle to whistle, and the moon curls low like a cat asleep on a prayer mat, the mountain begins to dream. Its dreams are not like ours. They do not unfold in sequence, nor do they ask questions. The mountain dreams. Incense clinging to fur. Barley steam rising from a bowl on the floor. Candle wax softened by the sun. It dreams in warmth, of paws pressed into embroidered cushions, of ears twitching in rhythm with temple drums. And it dreams in memories, not its own perhaps, but those of the many cats who've walked its ridges, napped upon its terraces, or paused mid-stretch to watch a snowflake tumble toward the ground. These cats, some real, some not, move gently through the mountain's memory like leaves. Floating in tea, they do not rush, they do not vanish. A gray tail flicks past a forgotten shrine. A paw print remains on a page of sacred text. A shadow curls in the rafters where no cat has been seen for decades. The mountain watches, not out of vigilance, not from authority, but from a deep, slow affection for things that endure quietly. For silence, for watching without interfering, for curling around what is sacred without needing to name it. It does not care if the cat was truly a llama, or if the kitten born beneath the altar was someone reborn. These questions are for people. The mountain has only one truth, that the presence of a cat makes any place feel inhabited, even a room with no words, even a palace where the walls have forgotten what they heard, even a mountain that has waited thousands of years for someone to notice its stillness. And so, when all else sleeps, when the candles gutter, and even the wind has left to find other paths, the mountain keeps dreaming of butter lamps, of soft paws on sacred ground, of watching, always watching, not with eyes, but with patience. And if you find yourself dreaming too, if your mind begins to wander, if your breath deepens, if you sense a small warmth settling by your side, perhaps the mountain is dreaming through you. Or perhaps a very old cat has chosen your heart as its cushion for the night. There is a lake tucked high in the folds of the Himalayas where the wind moves slower than thought. Locals call it Ngang So, the silent mirror. It is said that this lake holds no fish, no boats ever cross it, and no footprints last more than a moment on its shore. But what it does have is a cat. No one knows how long she has lived there. Some say she belonged to a solitary monk who built a hermitage on the lake's edge, long since swallowed by snow. Others claim she was never born, only appeared on a moonless night when the lake stopped reflecting the sky. She is pale, nearly white, with faint gray swirls like incense smoke drifting through fur. Her name, if she ever had one, is lost, or perhaps it is known only to the moon. Every night she walks the edge of the water, never in haste. Her paws make no sound even on rock, and though the wind comes from every direction, her fur never stirs. The villagers say she is waiting for the moon to return. Many years ago, so the story goes, the moon vanished, not from the sky, but from the water. On one particular night, the reflection simply stopped. The sky remained bright, silver with light, but the lake, dark as ink, gave nothing back. That was when the cat came. She sat by the water's edge and stared, as if willing the moon's image to return. and she has been watching ever since. Pilgrims come now and then, leaving offerings they think she might like. A folded prayer scarf, a drop of milk, a carving of a cat made from salt. She does not approach them, but she never drives them away. Sometimes children try to follow her as she walks the perimeter, but they always lose sight of her near the northeast bend of the shore, where the wind grows strangely warm. One boy claimed he saw her reflected in the water, though nothing else was. Not the mountains, not the stars, not even the boy himself. He said she looked straight at him, and that, for a moment, he could hear bells, very far away, and very slow. No one else heard them. But the boy slept peacefully that night for the first time in many years. Some say the cat guards the lake. Others say she guards the silence. Still others believe she is not waiting for the moon at all, but for someone, perhaps not yet born, to sit beside her and understand why the reflection vanished, without needing to ask. She may be there now, as you listen, ears tilted gently toward the rippling black, eyes holding both sky and earth, and something in between. If you ever find yourself near Angamso, and the moon looks particularly full, and you feel as though you are being watched, not with suspicion, but with endless patience, you might be near her, or perhaps only her memory, folded carefully into the wind like a final prayer. There are places the waking world cannot reach, places that shimmer faintly on the edge of sleep, like dew that evaporates before you can touch it. These places are not drawn on any map, nor remembered by name in any book. And yet you have been there, maybe last night, maybe 100 nights ago. One such place lies beyond the snow line of the known world, somewhere behind the seventh fold of mountain mist. Those who arrive do not remember how they got there. They simply find themselves walking along a narrow ridge of stone, the sky above deep and velvety, stars flickering like the last embers in a hearth dot. At the end of the ridge lies a monastery that does not belong to any one religion. It is carved from dark stone, its door draped in fabric that whispers with no wind. It has no name, but the monks who once lived there called it the House of Quiet Returning. Now, no monks remain, only a cat. She is not old nor young. Her fur shifts color depending on the light white in moonlight, ash gray in shadow, or warm gold when dawn leaks over the peaks. Her eyes do not blink often. They are wide, slow, and the color of deep winter. Her name, if she has one, is not spoken aloud. She is called only the Dream Walker. Asterisk those who arrive at the House of Quiet Returning. Do so on the edge of sleep. Their bodies lie elsewhere, tangled in sheets, curled beside lovers, rocked gently in trains or airplanes, or hammocks in faraway cities. But their spirits are guided here, through fog and memory, by the faint paw prints of the Dream Walker. Leads no one directly. She walks ahead, tail like a whisper in the mist. Her footsteps make no sound. And yet, all who follow find their path curving toward the same gate. Some try to speak. The air in this place quiets the voice. Others try to stop. The ground beneath their feet continues to move. Soon, they reach the doorway. Inside, the monastery is lit with light that does not seem to come from any flame. It glows softly from the walls themselves, from the grain of the wood, from the fur of the cat as she brushes silently past. There are no monks, but the space is not empty. Its corridors hum with the weight of every dream ever brought there. Each room holds a different season. One is always raining. One is filled with sand that never shifts. One is a garden where every flower opens to reveal a tiny memory. A hand lifted in goodbye. A laugh caught in a stairwell. The sound of a door never opened again. The Dream Walker knows them all. She walks between these rooms, tail trailing like calligraphy, pausing here and there to press her paw against a certain stone. or to sit quietly in the corner until the dream is fully unfurled. Asterisk, in the deepest part of the house, is a round room. Its walls curve inward like the inside of a seashell. The air is warmer here, heavy with the scent of old wood and something like dried figs or sun-warmed books. This is the chamber of the deep sleepers. They are not dead, nor truly alive. They are resting between layers of dreaming, too tired to wake, too restless to vanish. Some lie on stone beds. Others float just above the floor. None move, but if you listen closely, you can hear them breathing not with lungs, but with memory. The dream walker visits them nightly. She moves from one to the next, stepping over the faint lines of starlight that map the floor. She curls beside one for a while, purring so quietly that only the heart hears it. Then she rises and moves on. No one knows how long a sleeper stays. Some are there for a single night, others, perhaps, for lifetimes. She does not wake them. She only keeps them company. Asterisk. There is a door in the House of Quiet returning. It stands in the center of an open courtyard. There are no walls around it, no hinges to hold it, no threshold beneath it. But it is unmistakably a door. Tall, wooden, smooth as bone. The dream walker often sits in front of it. Those who have made it this far are allowed to approach. No one is forced through. The door opens only when the cat touches it with her paw. On the other side, no one knows for certain. Some say it leads to another life, the next one you're meant to live. Others say it returns you to your body, but changed lighter, as if a burden was left behind. And a few, a very few, say the door leads into the dreams of someone else, someone who has been waiting to dream of you. Asterisk. Not everyone who enters the monastery remembers it. Most wake with only the faintest sense of quiet, as if something had been seen and then gently erased, as if a hand had smoothed the wrinkles of the soul while they slept. But some do remember. A glimpse of fur slipping behind a column. A scent they cannot name, but long to find again. A feeling in the pit of the chest, like paws stepping. Lightly over ancient stone. They go through their days with a new softness. They speak a little more slowly, listen a little more closely, cry less often, and when they do it feels clean, like snowmelt over river stone. They have been somewhere, not quite awake, not quite asleep, and sometimes when the light hits a certain way, or a cat crosses their path and holds their gaze just a moment too long, they remember. Asterisk. She still walks the halls of the House of Quiet, returning. She still curls beside those who have wandered too far from themselves. She still sits before the door with no walls, waiting. Not for you, exactly, but not for you. She waits because this is her purpose, because some dreams are too heavy to carry alone, because even in the land beyond sleep, there is comfort in the sound of soft paws on ancient stone. She waits, and when the time comes, she will walk with you. 2. There is a hallway no one finds on their first visit to the House of Quiet returning. It appears only when it is needed, like a sigh or a forgotten lullaby. The dream walker does not lead visitors to this hallway. She only pauses beside its entrance. When the time is right, the air in this corridor is different, thicker, almost golden, like honey left in the sun. The scent here is one no one can quite place something. Between memory and longing. At the end of the hall is a door that hums faintly, with your name. Not the name others call you, the first name, the quiet name. The one only the stars remember. Inside is a room made for you, not designed by you, not imagined or wished into being, but made for you, as if someone or something had been collecting pieces of your soul and gently laying them here, waiting. There is the sound of your mother's voice, not speaking, just laughing once, the way she did before things grew quiet. There is the warmth of the blanket you loved as a child, the exact shade of the sky on the afternoon you first felt safe, a chair that holds you perfectly, a window that opens onto a memory you had forgotten you missed. The dream walker does not enter this room. She waits at the threshold, eyes half closed, purring so faintly it seems to come from the walls themselves. This is not a place to sleep, Dot. It is a place to be remembered, not by others, but by yourself. Here, the dust does not settle, the air does not age, the silence is not empty, it is full of you, Dot, and if you linger for just a moment longer than usual, you may find the courage to remember who you were before the world taught you to forget. Then, when the time comes to leave, you will not walk away, you will return, and the room will remember you again. Just as the cat does Dot, she always remembers. Even when you don single quotes T. Dot, especially when you don't. Beneath the house of quiet returning, farther down than any stairs could take you, there lies a space not known to walls or architecture. Dot. It does not appear on blueprints, nor does it yield to measuring. And yet, it is there. Some call it the library beneath the silence. Others call it the cat's archive. The dream walker calls it nothing at all. She merely visits, as one might visit an old sleeping friend. The only entrance is a ripple in the mountains, air behind a half-forgotten prayer wheel, one that never spins, a flicker of a paw against the stone, a breath held just long enough for the illusion of solidity to blink, and you are inside. Dot. There is no light, yet nothing is dark. There are no candles, yet shadows sway gently, as if rocked by wind. This is a place built not of stone, but of sound and memory. The shelves curve endlessly, like the spiral of a shell, folding inward and downward. Each shelf holds volumes bound in materials not found in the waking world. There are books made from pressed leaves that hum lullabies, scrolls inked in the language of dreams, tomes that change color when touched, revealing passages from long-lost nights. Each volume holds a forgotten dream, some soft and glimmering like a child's wish, others sharp-edged, fragmented, trembling with things left unsaid. And in the center, beneath an ancient tree that has no roots and no leaves, only drifting tendrils of mist, the dream walker waits. Dot. She sits in perfect stillness. Around her, the air buzzes softly, not with sound, but with meaning. Dot. It is here she comes when even she needs rest, not sleep, but stillness, for there are burdens, too heavy even for paws that do not leave tracks, sorrows collected from the edge of sleep, hopes too delicate to carry without care. She rests here, and the dreams rest with her, and sometimes a sleeper will find themselves here too, not by choice, but by invitation. When a heart has carried too much for too long, they will find themselves walking the spiral, fingers grazing spines of stories they once dreamed and forgot. The books do not speak, but they breathe, slowly, patiently. The dream walker does not guide them. She watches, and when they find the right story, the one they buried the deepest, she rises, pads over, and with the softest sound, not louder than the fall of a single snowflake, she presses her forehead to the spine of that book. The book opens. The memory returns. Dot. Not as pain, not as guilt, but as softness, as understanding. Dot. Sometimes tears come, sometimes laughter, but always the silence after is sacred, a silence that knows your name. And then, when the dream has been remembered fully, when it has breathed and stretched and laid itself down gently, the sleeper finds themselves whole again, not new, not healed. Dot. But whole. They do not take the book. They leave it behind, because some memories, once seen, no longer need to be held. They simply need to be honored. And the dream walker returns to her place beneath the tree of mist, curls herself into a shape older than language, and sleeps without closing her eyes. The library exhales, and the dream is complete. Asterisk beyond the library, where the silence grows too deep to echo, and even dreams hold their breath, there is a space without dimensions. It is not a room, nor a courtyard, nor a memory. It is something older than all of those. It is called the place between pause. Few ever reach it. Fewer still remember. It begins as a pause in thought, a held breath, a blink where you forget what you were about to say. And then you are here. There is no ground, but you do not fall. No sky, but something glows softly above. No wind, yet fur stirs gently along your arms. Here, time does not move forward or backward. It coils slowly, like a sleeping serpent in a sunbeam. In the center of this nothing everything, the dream walker walks in slow, figureless circles. Each step releases small ripples of gold and blue, as if she were stepping on the surface of a still lake made of light and breath. This is not a place of questions. This is a place of listening. Here, the great dreams come. Not dreams of people or lives or places, but dreams that birth the world itself. The first song of wind over stone. The dream of warmth before fire had a name. The first shadow cast by. A living thing. They drift here slowly, humming with age and quiet power. And the dream walker, in her soft, unfailing patience, keeps watch. Not as a guardian, not as a collector, but as one who remembers, because these dreams are not meant to be interpreted or changed. Only witness. Sometimes a human soul stumbles into this place, never on purpose, always by accident. Perhaps because they loved so deeply their heart forgot the world, or because they hurt so completely their soul cracked open. And when they arrive, they find no answers, no words, only the dream walker. She will not speak, but she will walk a slow, perfect circle around them. Once, twice, sometimes 3 times. And as she walks, the dream light beneath her paws swirls, folding gently around the visitor's form. And then something opens, not a door, not a memory, a knowing, a deep, gentle recognition that they are part of something vast and ancient, that they too are a dream the world once dreamed and forgot. They weep, or smile, or lie down and do nothing at all. And the dream walker curls beside them, and the silence purrs. In time, the human soul rises again, not to leave, but to drift softly, gently, back to wherever their body lies waiting. A train seat, a hospital bed, a lover's arms, a childhood room. They return carrying nothing, but changed, and far behind, in the place between paws. The cat turns once more, and waits. She always waits, past the place between paws. If one walks without looking, listens without hearing, and breathes without expectation, they may find themselves on a path lined with lightless lanterns. The lanterns do not glow, but they remember what it was to glow. And that memory is enough to show the way. The path is narrow and appears only in hindsight. Moss carpets each step, thick and cool beneath the feet, though none who walk it leave prints. The air smells of old petals, dried incense, and rain that never touches the ground. Eventually, the path opens not abruptly, but like the unfolding of a sigh into a garden unlike any known in the waking world. It is called the Garden of Forgotten. Offerings. Here, the trees do not bear fruit, but memories. Delicate silken threads hang from every branch, each tied to something once given freely. A whispered promise, a glance across a crowded room, a song hummed to a sleeping child. The ground is scattered with bowls, some full, some empty. Offerings, left by souls too weary to carry them further. Gratitude unspoken, forgiveness unclaimed, love never returned. They rest here, safe, undisturbed, not rejected. Only set down Dot, and in the very center of the garden sits a circle of smooth, low stones. On each stone lies a small, simple object, a ribbon, a cracked teacup, a child's mitten, a feather, a key with no door. The dream walker often comes here to rest, not from tiredness, but from timelessness. She curls beneath a tree whose bark is etched with stories no hand has written. Its roots form the shape of an embrace, its leaves falling in slow spirals, like thoughts not yet spoken. Sometimes she is joined by a creature you would not expect, a fox woven from dusk, a hare stitched from frost, a crane made of twilight thread. They do not speak, for here there is no need. They simply sit and remember. Visitors who arrive in this garden rarely know why they've come, but the moment they step inside, their breath changes. Something inside loosens, like a knot untangling. In the chest, they walk among the offerings, not searching, not selecting, but recognizing. And when the time comes, they too leave something behind. A thought too heavy to carry. A sorrow that has grown quiet. A hope they dare not name. They lay it gently at the base of the tree, beside the paw prints of the dream walker, and sit a while longer, until they are ready to return to wake, or simply to rest. The offerings will remain, not forgotten, only remembered by someone else. And the cat, from her place among the fallen leaves, will lift her eyes and understand, because everything given in love, even in silence, finds its way here, and no offering is ever truly lost. Some say the world was not built from stone or star, but from stories stacked carefully, like pages in a forgotten book. And somewhere, deep within the folds of all dreams, there stands the staircase made from those very stories. It begins where no floor exists and rises toward no ceiling. Each step glows faintly with a warmth that does not burn, the way sunlight feels through closed eyes. And every riser hums, faintly, like the breath between verses of a lullaby. This is the infinite stair. It is not meant to be climbed, it is meant to be wandered. And tonight, the dream walker rests upon its sixth step, her paws neatly tucked beneath. Her tail wrapped around like a ring of smoke. The steps stretch above and below her. She does not look up. She does not look down. She listens for the stair, whispers, not in words, but in stories too soft to be told aloud. Each step is a life, not grand or dramatic, but quiet, like the breath of a candle just before it flickers out. A baker who once dreamed of becoming a poet. A girl who ran away not from danger, but toward stillness. A cat who waited every night on a rooftop, never knowing why. Their dreams linger here, not as regrets, but as echoes. The dream walker walks slowly. One step, then a pause. Her whiskers twitch, sensing stories that drift just beneath the surface. She pauses at the 43rd step. A deep green shimmer. She curls beside it. The step remembers being part of a forest one that only existed in a child's bedtime tale. There were blue trees, singing beetles, a moon that stayed full no matter the season, and at the heart of the forest, a treehouse with 7 hammocks, each one holding a different version of the same cat. One shy, one fierce, one made of shadow, one always looking upward. The child who dreamed this story has long grown old. But the dream remains. And the dream walker lies across the step, remembering it into stillness. Higher on the stair step 206, there lies a space where time was once forgotten. Not lost, not broken, only set down for a while. Here, clocks hang from invisible wires, some with faces cracked like riverbeds, others smooth and perfect, but with no hands to mark the hours. Time passes here, but not forward. Instead, It ripples, sometimes backward, sometimes sideways. Visitors who arrive here without warning may weep not from sadness, but from the sudden memory of every moment they never knew they loved. The feel of a sister's hand, long gone. The scent of apples cut on an old wooden board. The sound of rain before the first thunder. They kneel or float or sit with their eyes closed. And for a while, they are not anything but breath. And the dream walker paces the edge of this step, not disturbing the clocks, but brushing her tail beneath their pendulums. She hums without voice Dot, and in her rhythm, time begins again, not as a race, not as a weight, not only as a kindness. Asterisk farther up the stair, so high that breath becomes thought, and thought becomes scent. There is a house, Dot. It is not built. It has no blueprints. It simply is Dot. Each room imagines the next. Each corridor forms only. When you begin to walk, there is a kitchen that never runs out of soup. A library with books written in languages you haven't invented yet. A bed that hums lullabies based on the beat of your heart. The dream walker is not the only cat here. There are dozens, some made of yarn, some of light, some so real they vanish when you touch them. They do not meow, but they watch Dot, and if you find the attic, if the house allows you, you will see the dream walker's first step, the one she took when she became more than a cat, more than a watcher, more than a story. The attic holds a bowl, a very old one, glazed in cobalt blue. Inside it, a single drop of milk, perfectly still. The drop reflects the first dream she ever guarded, a child who only wanted someone to stay. And she did Dot. She always does Dot. Asterisk. Some steps on the infinite stair hold footprints, not fresh, not faded Dot, just always there. They belong to the ones who never returned, not because they were trapped, but because they chose to remain. One footprint belongs to a musician who had forgotten how to hear until he found a step that hummed every note he never wrote. Another belongs to a healer who carried too many wounds that were never hers. She set them down here and stayed to grow flowers in the cracks between dreams. They are not lonely. They are not ghosts. They have become part of the stair, and the dream walker visits them often. Sometimes she brings a leaf from the garden of forgotten offerings. Other times, only her silence Dot. They know what it means. She remembers them, and that is enough Dot. Asterisk. Eventually, the infinite stair stretches beyond the stars. There is no air here, only quiet, not the quiet of absence, but the quiet of presence too full to move. Each step above this point holds a star that never formed, a possibility that never ignited, a life not lived, a choice not made, a world not born. These stars, not cold Dot. They are patient. The dream walker steps among them without weight, her paws disturbing nothing, her eyes reflecting every light that almost was. And if a visitor follows her this far, the stars may notice. They may show that visitor the life they almost lived. Dot. Not to tempt, not to punish, only to show how many versions of them the universe once imagined. The visitor may smile, or cry, or simply exhale, and the dream walker will press her forehead gently to there's Dot. No words. Only blessing Dot. Only peace. Asterisk. At the very top, or perhaps the very beginning of the infinite stair, there is a step that leads nowhere. Dot. It is not broken. It is not unfinished Dot. It is complete Dot. And on this step, the dream walker sometimes sleeps, not to rest, but to dream, because even the cat who walks between dreams must sometimes enter one herself. And when she does, the infinite stair goes quiet. Every step stills, every whisper listens. And for one breathless moment across every dreamer, in every corner of the world, in every cradle and bed and hammock and chair, they feel it, the presence of something vast, Dot. Gentle Dot. Watching Dot. And they sleep just a little deeper Dot, because the dream walker dreams with them, Dot. And when she wakes, dot, dot, she will begin walking. Again, Dot, step by step, Dot, remembering, Dot, always remembering. Even when we forget, especially when we forget. There is a place beyond the end of the infinite stair, not above, not beyond, but beside, Dot. It waits not at the top, but in the moment between steps, where the dream walker hesitates just once before moving forward, Dot. It is not easy to find. Even she did not find it the first time, or the second. It was only when she stopped walking, when she paused to remember something not her own, that the mirror found her, Dot, shimmered into being as a glimmer of rain in a dry place, as a sound without a source, as a reflection that did not wait for her to look. The mirror that refused to reflect, Dot, it is not made of silvered glass, nor is it smooth. It is rough like the skin of a wind-worn eel. It hums faintly, but only to those who do not listen. Dot, no one sees themselves in it. That is the point, Dot, they see. Instead, what watches them when they are asleep. Asterisk, the mirror does not reflect appearances. It remembers presences. Every creature, cat, human, bird, dream, has left traces of their spirit upon the world. The mirror remembers them all. A woman who wept into her soup without knowing why. A soldier who planted a tree before marching off to a war he would never finish. A child who once believed he could fly and almost did. The mirror does not pass judgment. It does not alter, nor does it explain, Dot. It simply shows what was always there, waiting to be seen, Dot. And the dream walker, when she first stood before it, did not blink. She saw herself as the world remembered her, not a protector, not a myth, but as a thread woven through the tapestries of 1,000 forgotten nights, a warmth left behind on a pillow, a flick of shadow caught in candlelight, a silent promise beneath a child's dream of safety. She bowed to the mirror, Dot, and the mirror shimmered, for even it knew she had become more than a reflection. She had become remembrance itself. Not long ago, or perhaps very long ago indeed, a visitor came. He was not young nor old, not alive nor past. He was wondering. He stood before the mirror with eyes full of questions that never made it to his lips. The mirror responded, Dot, not with images, but with feelings. The cold of a goodbye, never said. The warmth of a touch once forgotten. The weight of a choice not made. He wept. But not from sorrow, Dot, from recognition, Dot. And the dream walker stood beside him, silent. She did not comfort. She did not move. She simply stayed, and that was enough. When he left, he carried nothing. But his walk had changed, Dot. It had slowed, softened, Dot, as if his footsteps were listening to the world. Asterisk, the mirror remembers everyone. But there are some who return more than once. One such visitor was not one, but two. A cat with two shadows. One made of light, one made of absence. They circled each other as she approached, tails touching, eyes never meeting. She stepped before the mirror, and it shimmered violently, as if unsure what to show. For the cat held two dreams, one where she had stayed behind, one where she had run, Dot, both true, both incomplete. Dot, the mirror flickered, showed her the house she left, the house she saved, the friend who waited, the stranger she never met. Dot, the cat with two shadows bowed, her shadows merged, Dot, and she walked away. With a third, a memory that had not been hers, but would be. Someday, Dot, asterisk, some say there is a room behind the mirror. Not a reflection. A real room. A place where forgotten selves live. A version of you that kept writing. A version of you that forgave. A version of you that listened to the cat outside your window and let it in. The dream. Walker has been there, Dot, not often. Dot, it is not. A place she enters lightly. Because once you see the lives you did not live, you must learn how to carry them, not as regrets, but as reminders of how wide your spirit truly is. She walked there once, on a night when all the dreamers had stilled, found her own forgotten selves, one still curled in the lap of a poet, one chasing fireflies in a world made only of dusk, one silent, still, beneath a tree made of time. She did not disturb them, only watched. And as she turned to leave, the room whispered, not in sound, in knowing. You are all of these, and more. She did not look back. She did not need to. Asterisk. Sometimes. Even the mirror closes its eyes. It does not need rest. But it chooses stillness. And in those moments, the dream walker curls before it. Not as a guardian, but as a companion. They do not speak. They do not dream. They simply share silence. And in that silence, a truth grows. That not everything must be seen. Not everything must be understood. Some things are meant only to be shared, like a soft breath between stars. Like the warmth left behind on a pillow, like a paw print on the edge of sleep. And when the mirror wakes again, it finds the dream walker gone, but it remembers her. It always remembers, because some reflections do not fade. They become light. They become story. They become the thread between what is seen. And what is simply felt. Asterisk. Beyond the mirror, there is no path, only a pause. Not the kind of pause that comes from hesitation, but the kind that settles when breath holds its shape, when meaning curls inward instead of out. In that pause, if you are still enough, you may hear a chime. Not loud, not even clear, just a shimmer of sound that drifts between thoughts. Comes from the archive of silent bells. No one knows who made it. No one knows how long it has been there, but the dream walker found it once, on a night when stars refused to rise. She followed the absence of echo until she reached the place where sound had gone to sleep. There, set deep in a bowl of velvet sky, stood the archive. Its walls were woven from memory and dusk. Its roof, a net of slow lightning that blinked only when forgotten. Inside, rows upon rows of bells hung suspended, some shaped like teardrops, others like crescent moons, some too small to see, others vast enough to ring the bones of mountains. Each bell had once held a voice, a truth, name spoken only once, but none rang anymore. They had chosen silence, not as loss, but as reverence. The first bell the dream walker approached shimmered like rain before it falls. She did not touch it. To do so would not awaken it. It would dissolve it. These bells are not for ringing. They are for remembering. This one held the name of a language, spoken only in dreams. A language once sung by mothers to children who had never been born. It hummed faintly, as if the breath of the lullaby still wandered through its shape. She sat beneath it, listened not with ears, but with presence. And in that stillness, the bell glowed, a flicker. Acknowledgement. Then faded. Again, some silences are sacred. Some should not be disturbed. Asterisk. Among the visitors to the archive, there was once a cat with no voice of her own. She only spoke in echoes, not mimicry, not mockery, but the exact repetition of words once spoken in love. I missed you. You're safe now. Stay as long as you like. She wandered the archive in silence, her steps soft as thought. She curled beneath bells that remembered joy, danced lightly beneath those that remembered partings. And once, just once, she sat before a bell shaped like a closed eye and whispered, "Thank you." The bell did not ring, but the archive sighed. As if it too had been waiting for someone to say it. Asterisk. In the farthest corner of the archive, beneath a fold of shadow no light dares pierce, there is a bell that waits, not to be heard, but to be understood. It has no clapper. It cannot ring, yet its presence hums through the floor, the air, the fur of the dream walker's back when she draws near. It was forged not of metal, but of a moment, Decision made without certainty. A kindness extended with no hope of return. The bell holds the silence that follows true courage, the silence. That becomes peace. And though no paw, no voice, no dream may ever stir it into sound, its presence soothes all who come near. For here, they remember, some truths ring without needing to be heard. Asterisk, there is a chamber in the archive few find, not because it hides, but because most forget to look inward. It is called the Forgotten Choir. There is no singing. Only breath, only the memory of harmony. The dream walker once stepped into that room on a night when the stars all blinked at once. The bells in that room were cracked, not broken, but changed. They had once sung together. Across cities, across skies, across lives. Now, they waited. Not for repair, but for reunion. And when she stepped among them, their breath joined hers, a harmony of being, a song made not of sound, but of shared silence. In that moment, the room ceased to be a room. Became a memory of connection, a reminder that we are never alone, even in silence, especially in silence. Asterisk. They say that when the dream walker sleeps within the archive, the bells dream, not of sound, but of being held, of hands that once rang them with hope, of voices raised not in alarm, but in welcome. Of being part of a moment that mattered. And when she wakes, she does not leave immediately. She walks slowly through the chambers, her fur brushed by threads of breath. She bows to the bells that hum, pauses beneath those that flicker, and once more, before the doorway that does not open, but always allows passage, she turns and whispers without sound, "I remember." The bells do not answer, but they glow, and that is enough. There are stories that exist only in places without clocks, where the wind bends sideways and moss creeps upward and shadows forget how to behave. One such story is kept alive in the place known only as the Orchard of the Lantern Cat, the Dream. Walker arrived there, not through walking, but through stillness so complete, even time dared not disturb it. She stepped across the memory of chimes and into soil that glowed with a gentle bioluminescent shimmer. The trees were tall, but bowed, not from age, but reverence. They held lanterns, dozens, hundreds lanterns made of clouded glass, seed husks, curled petals, polished stone, even frozen whispers. Some flickered gently, others pulsed like breath. None hung from branches. They were held by cats. Cats of every kind, some transparent, like rain about to fall. Others so vivid they cast shadows, brighter than themselves. Their eyes shimmered not with light, but with memory. Each held a lantern, and in each lantern, a dream. Asterisk, the lanterns did not burn with flame. They glowed with old hopes, those that were never voiced aloud. A wish for forgiveness, never asked. A desire to be seen, not for what one does, but for who one quietly is. A silent longing to go back, not to undo, but simply to be. The lantern cats did not speak. They did not move. They only watched over the dreams and trusted to them. But when the dream walker passed, they bowed, for they knew her. She, too, was a keeper of quiet things, and they allowed her to pass between them, along paths made of moth wings and starlight. Asterisk beneath, the oldest tree, whose roots formed a spiral deeper than sight, sat a cat with a lantern that no longer glowed. It was cracked. Its light had long since leaked into the soil. But the cat did not leave. She stayed, because sometimes dreams fade not from neglect, but from fulfillment. The lantern had once held the wish of a lonely fisherman, to not die alone, and he hadn't. His final breath was held by the sea, and the hand of the daughter he once thought he'd lost. The dream had ended, and so the lantern dimmed, but the cat remained dark to remember that even fulfilled wishes needs someone to keep them safe. Asterisk. In the center of the orchard stood a tree that had no bark, no leaves, no shadow. It was made of light, not glowing, not shining, just being. Its roots tangled through the sky. Its branches curled into the ground. It made no sense. But it felt whole. At its base sat the first lantern cat, older than fire, younger than silence. Her lantern held no dream. It held the pause before dreaming. That delicate space when the body sighs and the spirit releases its weight just before sleep. She offered no words, no gestures. But when the dream walker stood before her, something passed between them. Not understanding. Not recognition. Only stillness shared. And in that stillness, they were one. Two dreamers, two watchers. Both holding the world more gently than it would ever know. Asterisk. Not every lantern stays with its original keeper. Sometimes a lantern becomes too heavy, too bright, too lost, and another cat steps forward. Not to take it, but to hold it for a while. There was once a lantern made from woven laughter. It sang a child's joy so vividly, it made shadows blush. But the keeper, too attuned to sorrow, could no longer bear its brightness. So another came, a cat who had known grief's echo, but chosen joy anyway, and she held the lantern, and its glow deepened. Not brighter. Just warmer. That is the way of the orchard. No lantern fades alone. No weight is born in silence. Asterisk. Before she left, the dream walker paused at the edge of the orchard. A path of stone fruit and sleeping petals curved toward the gate. She turned and saw a lantern waiting. It hovered just above the ground, flickering, not with a dream, but a question. Not hers, someone else's, someone far away, not yet asleep. Someone wondering softly, deeply, if they would ever be okay. She did not take the lantern. She touched it, and it pulsed. Once. Then again. The light settled. The question remained, but it no longer ached. Because now it was shared. And the dream walker walked on, carrying no lantern. But leaving behind one more light for someone she would never meet, but would always remember. Asterisk. The dream walker's footsteps were soundless upon the path of stone fruit, each step a quiet ripple across the pool of suspended time that was the orchard. The petals beneath her feet seemed to sigh, curling gently back into their sleepy forms, as if reluctant to disturb the delicate hush that draped the space. Above her, the lantern cats watched, their eyes still pools of memory. They did not blink, did not stir. Only the faintest quiver passed through the air when her presence brushed the edge of their awareness. Like the softest note struck on a glass harp. The lantern at the gate lingered in its soft flicker, a question waiting, and yet unformed. The dream walker's fingers traced the cool air beside it, but did not grasp. It was not hers to hold. Instead, she gathered the threads of silence around her, weaving them like a cloak to protect the fragile light. In the distance, beyond the orchard's folding horizons, something stirred, a slow, pulsing breath, like the heartbeat of the earth itself, rolled in waves across the ground. The trees, bent in reverence, seemed to lean toward it. Moss trembled, unwinding its ancient coils. Shadows wavered, learning anew the dance they were meant to follow. The dream walker felt the pull, a gentle tug beneath her ribs, not a yearning, but a calling. She moved deeper into the orchard, where lanterns hung heavier with dreams too, fragile to be spoken aloud. Asterisk. Beneath a cluster of silver-leaved trees, their trunks twisted like the spiral of a seashell, sat a young lantern cat. Her fur shimmered with the pale light of dawn, soft and uncertain. The lantern she held was shaped from woven reeds and frost, cradling a dream that flickered like a hesitant flame. The dream walker paused beside her. "What is this dream?" she asked, though the words were not meant to break the silence. The lantern cat's eyes reflected a fragile hope. "It is the wish of a child who never found her voice," she answered. "A longing to be heard not by the world, but by herself." The dream walker knelt, letting her breath mingle with the cool air. "And what becomes of a dream like that?" The young cat's whiskers twitched. "Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it grows louder. Sometimes it must be released." The dream walker reached out, her hand hovering above the lantern's surface. The light pulsed gently beneath her touch, steadying. "You carry it well," she said softly. The lantern cat bowed, the delicate glow brightening just so. A sudden stirring behind them caused the dream walker to turn. From the shadow of an ancient tree stepped another cat, one whose fur was a tapestry of twilight and dawn. Her lantern was unlike any other, made of cracked glass and liquid light. It hummed with an urgency that made the air shimmer. She approached the young cat and placed a gentle paw upon the lantern. "I will hold this dream for a while," she said. The younger cat's eyes glimmered with gratitude and relief. "It has grown too heavy," she whispered. "But with you, it will find peace." The dream walker watched as the older cat settled beside the younger, their lantern's light blending into a warm, steady glow. The orchard seemed to exhale. The branches curled closer, the moss stretched upward, and even the shadows remembered their dance. The dream walker rose and continued on her path. At the edge of the orchard, where the last of the stone fruit crumbled into dust, a figure waited. It was neither cat nor human, but something between, an echo caught between dreams and waking. The figure's eyes held storms, and its hands cradled a lantern of cracked sky. The dream walker approached without fear. "Who are you?" she asked. The figure's voice was the sound of wind through hollow trees. "I am the keeper of the forgotten," it said. "The dreams lost to time and neglect." The dream walker nodded. "Then walk with me," she said. Together, they crossed the threshold between stillness and movement, between dream and dawn. The path stretched into the unknown. Lanterns flickered in the distance, each a story waiting to be told. And the dream walker knew the orchard was never complete, because every dream, whether carried or released, left a trace. A light, a shadow, a whisper, a memory that no time could ever forget. The dream walkers. Footsteps were swallowed by the thick moss beneath, the twisting trees as she moved beyond the figure who kept the forgotten dreams. The air shifted, folding around her like a familiar shawl, woven from the threads of long-lost moments and tender silences. Around her, the orchard stretched wider than sight, a realm where reality and reverie intertwined like the roots beneath her feet. Here, the wind did not simply pass. It lingered, bending sideways, carrying with it echoes of voices that had never spoken, laughter that never faded, tears that never dried. The lantern cats watched her journey with their ancient eyes that shimmered not with light, but with memory. Some had fur like woven shadows, others glowed softly, as if lit from within by the gentle pulse of the world's secrets. Their lanterns sang in silence, each a note in the vast, unspoken symphony of dreams. The path before her twisted toward a grove of glass trees. Their branches were delicate, translucent, and when the wind stirred, they sang with the faintest chime, a sound like the memory of rain. Beneath one such tree, a lantern cat crouched, her coat a deep velvet blue, dusted with specks of silver like stars scattered across a night sky. Her lantern was a vessel of spun glass and moonlight, cradling a dream that fluttered with quiet urgency. The dream walker approached and knelt beside her. "What hope do you guard?" she asked, her voice barely more than a breath. The cat's eyes reflected the silvered sky. "It is the hope of reunion," she said softly. of souls long parted, waiting to find each other beyond the veil of time. The dream walker reached out, fingertips brushing the lantern's cool surface. The light inside fluttered like a trapped bird, eager to be free, yet hesitant to leave. Is it a wish or a memory? She whispered. The cat's gaze was steady. Sometimes they are the same. The dream walker rose and turned to leave, but a voice stopped her, a sound like wind threading through autumn leaves. Wait. She looked back. A young lantern cat emerged from the shadows, her fur soft as dappled sunlight through leaves. She carried no lantern. Instead, she held a handful of glowing petals, each pulsing faintly. They belonged to the dream of healing, the young cat said, offering the petals like a gift. The dream walker accepted them, feeling the warmth seep into her skin. Will they help? She asked. The cat nodded. Double quotes only if you carry them gently. Continuing along the path, the dream walker found herself in a clearing where the ground was covered with lanterns, hundreds of them, resting in the soft grass like fallen stars. Each lantern whispered a story, a hope, a regret. She bent down to touch one made from woven song, its light shimmering with the laughter of a child long grown. Another hummed with the quiet sorrow of a love left unspoken. Her fingers brushed a cracked lantern, glowing faintly with the sigh of a promise made too late. The orchard was a place where all such dreams gathered, waiting to be carried, to be held, to be understood. At the edge of the clearing stood a tree unlike any she had seen before. Its trunk was smooth glass, rippling like water frozen in time. Its leaves were silver threads, tangled with starlight. And beneath it sat a lantern cat unlike any other. Her fur was the color of twilight, shifting and swirling as if woven from the very fabric of dusk and dawn. Her eyes held a depth that seemed to pull at the edges of the dream walker's own. The lantern she held was empty. Not broken, simply empty. The dream walker approached slowly, feeling the weight of silence deepen around her. Why does your lantern hold no dream? She asked. The cat looked up, voice like the first soft note of morning. Because sometimes the greatest dream is the one yet to be dreamed. The dream walker sat beside her, allowing the quiet to settle between them like a shared breath. The pause before dreaming, the cat said. There is a world waiting to be born. A place where hope gathers its strength, where the soul finds its wings. The dream walker closed her eyes, feeling the stillness within herself echo that delicate space. She thought of the lantern at the gate, the one flickering with a question that was not hers. She thought of the paths yet walked, the dreams yet held. And in that moment, she understood. The orchard was not merely a place of endings. It was a place of beginnings. The cat beside her rose, light spilling from the empty lantern, as if the absence itself was a source. Come, she said. Together, they stood beneath the glass tree, and the dream walker felt the world bend gently. The ground folding like a page turned in a book. The branches above shimmered, scattering silver threads of starlight that wove through the air like delicate webs. In the weaving, shapes began to form. Faces and places, moments long forgotten, yet somehow familiar. The dream walker reached out, fingertips brushing a strand of light. A vision bloomed. She saw a child laughing, her eyes bright with wonder as she chased fireflies beneath a sky painted in lavender and gold. She saw an old man, sitting by a hearth, hands rough and warm, holding a wooden flute that sang the song of the wind. She saw a garden filled with flowers that bloomed only in dreams, petals soft as whispers, colors that danced beyond the spectrum of waking eyes. Each image shimmered, briefly, then faded like a breath released. The cat's voice was a thread in the silence. All these are dreams yet to be woven, stories waiting for their telling. The dream walker nodded, heart heavy with the weight of infinite possibility. too. Hold a dream is to hold a world. The cat smiled, a slow unfolding like dawn, and to release one is to set the world free. The glass tree shimmered once more, sending a shower of silver leaves drifting to the ground. The dream walker rose, feeling the light pulse gently beneath. Her skin the glow of possibility, of hope yet to be born. She turned to the cat beside her. How do you bear such emptiness? The cat's eyes held quiet joy. Because in emptiness, there is room for all dreams to grow. With a final glance at the shimmering tree, the dream walker stepped back onto the path. The orchard whispered around her, a lullaby woven from the breath of countless dreams. The lantern cats watched, their eyes deep pools of memory and light. Carried no lantern dot, but in her heart, she held the orchard itself, a place without clocks, where dreams were cradled, carried, and set free. Asterisk. The dream walker moved forward, each step a measured whisper on the soft earth. The orchard around her breathed with a quiet pulse, as if the world itself were dreaming alongside her. The lantern's light, soft and myriad, wove around the branches and roots, a tapestry of unspoken stories and fragile hopes. Along the path, the air grew thick with the scent of fallen petals and distant rain, an aroma that seemed to hold the memory of every tear ever shed and every smile ever shared. Somewhere nearby, a lantern cat curled beneath a bed of luminescent moss, her fur shimmering faintly with the color of twilight. Her lantern glowed faintly, cradling a dream yet untold. The dream walker knelt beside her. Whose hope do you carry? She asked gently. The cat's eyes, soft pools of liquid night, met hers. It is the dream of forgiveness, she whispered. Not the kind spoken aloud, but the kind that unfolds silently within the heart. The dream walker's fingers brushed the lantern's surface, feeling its warmth steady and tender. Forgiveness is a slow flame, she said softly, one that must be kindled with patience. The cat nodded, the faintest quiver rippling through her fur. Yes, and sometimes it must wait for the right hands to carry it. A sudden ripple passed through the orchard. The air shifted, and the dream walker sensed a presence approaching. From the shadows emerged a cat whose fur was a cascade of autumn leaves, rich reds and golds swirling with every step. She carried no lantern, but her eyes gleamed with the weight of untold stories. Why do you come without a lantern? The dream walker asked. The autumn cat paused, gaze distant and wistful. Because I am the bearer of stories no longer dreamed, she said. I collect what is lost, not forgotten, but surrendered. The dream walker looked toward the clearing, where countless lanterns rested in the grass like fallen stars. Are they yours? She asked softly. The cat nodded. Each one holds a chapter that could not find its voice. Some have waited lifetimes. The dream walker reached out and touched a lantern woven from strands of silver and shadow. The light inside pulsed faintly, a heartbeat suspended in time. Will these stories ever be told again? The autumn cat's eyes gleamed with gentle resolve. Some will find new keepers. Some will sleep until the world is ready. The dream walker rose and continued on, the weight of lost stories pressing gently against her spirit. The path curved upward toward a hill, crowned with pale moonflowers, their petals unfolding like soft lanterns against the darkening sky. At the hill's summit sat a cat cloaked in starlight, her fur a shimmering tapestry of night and dawn. In her paws she cradled a lantern made of clear crystal, inside which a single drop of liquid silver hung suspended. This is the dream of reunion, she said when the dream walker approached. Not of bodies, but of souls entwined beyond the boundaries of time. The dream walker knelt beside her, fingers brushing the crystal coolness. Does such a dream ever find rest? The cat smiled, a slow unfolding like the first light of day. Rest comes not in arrival, but in the journey itself. The moonflower swayed, petals brushing against the night breeze. Lanterns all around seemed to pulse in unison, a gentle cadence that echoed the beat of the dream walker's own heart. She rose and looked to the horizon, where the orchard folded back upon itself in endless loops, a world without end or beginning. Beneath, the stars, she understood. The orchard was a sanctuary, not just for dreams, but for the dreamers themselves, thought as dawn approached. The dream walker came to the place where the roots of the tree of light tangled like celestial rivers. Here, the earth hummed softly beneath her feet, alive with the pulse of ancient power. A final lantern cat awaited one whose fur shimmered with the colors of dawn and dusk entwined. Her lantern was empty, but radiated warmth, a gentle glow like the promise of morning. "Why do you hold an empty lantern?" The dream walker asked. The cat's eyes held the calm of infinite patience. "Because I hold the space for all dreams yet to be born." The dream walker smiled softly. "Then perhaps it is time to dream again." With that, the dream walker stepped forward into the spiral of roots, her breath mingling with the light, her heart opening to the endless possibilities cradled within the orchard. And in that place without clocks, where shadows forgot how to behave, a new dream began to stir. The dream walker's feet barely brushed the soft earth as she ventured deeper into the orchard, where the glow of lanterns cast a delicate light that seemed to pulse in rhythm with her breath. Each lantern cradled a dream, some bright with hope, others dimmed by sorrow, many tangled in the delicate threads between longing and memory. As she walked, the wind shifted, carrying with it a scent like wet earth after rain and the faintest hint of jasmine. It was a scent she had known long ago, in a time before the orchard had grown around her. Her thoughts drifted briefly to the origins of this place, a realm without clocks, without time, where the impossible breathed freely. The path wound upward, curling around a cluster of ancient trees whose branches formed arches overhead, woven thick with moss and lanterns that glimmered faintly like distant stars. The dream walker paused beneath one such arch and looked to the ground, where a small, delicate lantern rested unattended. It was shaped from petals so thin they seemed woven from light itself, and inside, a flickering spark danced. She knelt and picked it up carefully. The lantern hummed softly in her hands, a vibration like the distant echo of a lullaby. Inside, the dream held was fragile, the hope of a child who had once believed in magic, but whose belief had slowly faded with the passing of days. The dream walker closed her eyes and whispered into the lantern, sending waves of warmth through the fragile light. "Let it live again," she said softly. The lantern's glow steadied and grew, brightening not with flame, but with a tender pulse, like the heartbeat of hope rekindled. From the shadows emerged a cat, her coat mottled like dappled sunlight filtering through leaves. She approached silently, her eyes calm and knowing. "That dream is yours to carry," she said. The dream walker looked up, surprised. The cat continued, "Not every dream stays with its original keeper. Sometimes a dream outgrows the hands that held it and must find new ones." The dream walker smiled faintly, her fingers still cradling the glowing lantern. "I will hold it gently." Together, they moved toward a clearing where the ground was carpeted in soft moss, thick and cool beneath their feet. Lanterns floated here, tethered to invisible threads, each containing a story waiting to unfold. A young lantern cat sat curled among them, her fur the color of twilight. Her eyes shimmered with a quiet sadness, and the lantern she held flickered faintly. "I carry the dream of healing," she said when the dream walker approached. The dream walker knelt beside her. "What kind of healing?" she asked. The cat's gaze was steady, healing for a heart broken by loss, for a soul weary from wandering. The dream walker nodded, feeling the weight of those words settle around her like a soft shawl. Sometimes healing begins not with mending, but with acceptance, she said. The young cat's lantern pulsed gently, as if in agreement. As twilight deepened, the dream walker found herself drawn to a cluster of silver-leaved trees. Beneath them sat an elder lantern cat, her fur streaked with white like frost on the morning grass. Her eyes held the depth of many winters, and her lantern was made of polished stone and crystal, glowing with a soft, steady light. "This is the dream of forgiveness," she said when the dream walker approached. "Forgiveness?" "The dream," Walker repeated, intrigued. The elder cat nodded. "Forgiveness not spoken aloud, but held within. The kind that unbinds the spirit and allows the heart to breathe." The dream walker sat beside her, letting the stillness enfold them. "In the orchard," the elder said softly, "even the heaviest burdens find lightness when shared." The dream walker rose and continued her journey, the air growing cooler and the lantern's glow deepening into hues of indigo and violet. She reached a place where the roots of the tree of light spiraled upward, their twisting forms glowing faintly against the darkening sky. At the base of the tree sat a cat whose fur seemed woven from the shadows themselves. His lantern was cracked, the light inside flickering like a candle struggling against a breeze. The dream walker approached and knelt. "Why does your lantern falter?" she asked. The cat's eyes were heavy with a silent sorrow. "It holds the dream of a promise broken," he said. "Can it be mended?" she asked softly. The cat looked up, hope flickering in his gaze. "Perhaps if another will share the weight." The dream walker reached out, her hands gentle as the night. She touched the cracked lantern, and warmth spread through her fingertips. Together, they lifted the lantern, and its light steadied, glowing brighter as if fueled by shared resolve. Orchard around them seemed to breathe, branches swaying in a silent song. She stayed a moment longer beneath the tree of light, feeling the pulse of ancient power woven into its roots and branches. Here was a place beyond time, where beginnings and endings blurred into one. The dream walker closed her eyes, breathing in the stillness. When she opened them, she saw the first lantern cat approaching a figure older than memory, whose fur held the quiet glow of the pause before dreaming. The dream walker bowed her head in respect. The first lantern cat said nothing, but in her eyes, the dream walker saw the gentle promise of all dreams yet to come. The path home lay before her, winding through the orchard's endless light and shadow. She carried no lantern in her hands, but in her heart, the orchard glowed, a place where dreams were cradled, shared, and set free. The dream walker's journey carried her deeper into the orchard's heart, where the air shimmered with the soft pulse of dreams, both old and new. Here, the light did not simply illuminate, it breathed, whispered, and wove itself into the fabric of time and memory. She followed a trail of delicate petals faintly glowing, like embers of forgotten wishes, and soon found herself in a hidden glade where the lanterns hung lower, swaying gently like ripe fruit in a summer breeze. The cats here were quieter, their eyes pools of deep reflection, each holding a dream that hummed with a fragile truth. One cat, smaller than the rest, with fur as soft as morning mist and eyes like dew on grass, stepped forward and offered her a lantern crafted from dewdrops and silver threads. The light inside pulsed softly with the gentle rhythm of a heartbeat. "This dream," the small cat said in a voice like a breeze through leaves, "belongs to a soul seeking courage, the courage to be seen, to speak, to step into the light." After long hiding, the dream walker accepted the lantern carefully, feeling the tender warmth radiate from within. "Courage is a fragile flame," she whispered. "It needs kind hands to nurture it." The small cat nodded, eyes reflecting both hope and the weight of past shadows. "Then carry it gently," she said. The dream walker moved on, cradling the new lantern close. The path twisted and folded, leading her toward a tranquil pond whose surface mirrored the star-dusted sky above. Along the water's edge sat a cat whose coat gleamed like polished obsidian, eyes glinting with ancient wisdom. His lantern was unique, formed from clear crystal that held a swirling mist within. The dream it contained was a quiet longing, a hope for peace amid turmoil. The dream of peace is often the hardest to hold, the obsidian cat said softly, because it must bloom even in the darkest soil. The dream walker knelt beside him, hands resting on the cool grass. Is peace a destination or a journey? She asked. He smiled gently, a slow and steady light in his gaze. Both and neither. It is the breath between the moments. As the stars shifted and the orchard's light deepened into shades of indigo and violet, the dream walker came upon a circle of cats, their fur blending into the shadows. Each held a lantern, pulsing with a different shade of lightsome warm, some cool, some flickering uncertainly. They spoke without words, their eyes meeting hers in silent communion. A single lantern hovered at the center, crafted from shattered gloss and glowing softly with the memories of countless lives. This is the dream of memory, whispered one cat, her voice barely a ripple. It is the thread that connects all things, said another, the story that weaves beginnings and endings together. The dream walker reached out, feeling the hum of the lantern's light thread through her fingertips. To remember is to carry both joy and sorrow, she said softly. The circle of cats bowed their heads in quiet agreement. From the depths of the orchard, a gentle melody rose, a song without sound, carried on the breath of the wind. The dream walker closed her eyes, letting the invisible music wrap around her, lifting her spirit higher than the tallest branches. When she opened them, she saw a new figure approaching, a cat whose fur was a shifting tapestry of dawn's first, light and twilight's last glow. Her eyes held the calm of the endless horizon, and in her paws, she cradled a lantern made from woven sunlight and moonbeams. I carry the dream of renewal, she said, voice steady and warm, the promise that every ending folds into a beginning. The dream walker smiled, heart swelling with the quiet hope the dream carried. And let us walk together, she said. Side by side, they moved through the orchard, two dreamers in a timeless dance, holding the fragile light of possibility. The orchard stretched endlessly before them, a world where time was a gentle river flowing in every direction, where every dream was a star waiting to be born anew. And as they walked, the dream walker understood that to hold a dream was to hold a universe. And in the orchard of the lantern cat, every universe was precious beyond measure. The dream walker's steps softened further, as if the very ground beneath her recognized the sacredness of her passage. Each breath she drew carried the weight and lightness of countless dreams, fragile yet resilient, cradled in lanterns woven. From memory, hope, and quiet longing. As she moved beyond the glade of dawn and twilight, the air grew thick with an ancient fragrance, something like wild herbs, warm earth, and a trace of something unnameable, as if the scent of beginnings and endings had mingled and settled here. Ahead, the path forked beneath two immense trees, their trunks knotted and entwined in a silent embrace. Hanging between them, suspended not by branches, but by something unseen, was a single lantern. Its light was faint, more a whisper than a glow, shifting gently between shades of silver and gold. The dreamwalker stepped closer. The lantern seemed to pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat, fragile as a breath held in the quiet space before dawn. From the shadow of the trees emerged a cat, unlike any she had yet seen. Her fur was the color of dusk, shifting subtly through hues of deep purple and muted rose, and her eyes held galaxies within them, vast and eternal. She did not speak, but her gaze held 1,000 unspoken truths. The dream walker knew this was the keeper of the threshold, the guardian of transitions, the watcher of moments when one world folds quietly into another. The keeper stepped forward and offered the lantern, her paws gentle as a sigh. "This light," she said at last, voice like the rustle of leaves, holds the dream of passage, the hope for safe crossing between sorrow and joy, between life and death, between who we were and who we might become. The dream walker accepted the lantern reverently, feeling the subtle warmth of its glow seep into her bones. To carry. "This dream is to hold the fragile promise of transformation," she whispered. "And yet, it is the most vital." The keeper inclined her head, a gesture full of both gravity and grace. "Do not fear the crossing," she said, "for in every ending lies the seed of a new beginning." The dream walker continued down the forked path, carrying the dream of passage close to her heart. The way ahead was cloaked in a silvery mist that seemed woven from the breath of forgotten mornings. Within the haze, figures began to take shape, faint outlines of cats and lanterns, shadows cast by dreams too fragile to fully form. One such figure approached an elder lantern cat whose fur shimmered like cracked ice under the moonlight. Her lantern was a delicate cage of frost and glass, enclosing a light that flickered uncertainly. "This dream is yours to tend," she said softly. "It is the hope for reconciliation, the mending of bonds broken by silence and time." The dream walker knelt beside her, eyes closed to listen to the silent music of the lantern's light. "How do we mend what seems forever broken?" she asked. The elder's eyes, deep as frozen lakes, met hers with steady warmth. "By holding it gently, with patience and grace. By remembering that even fractured light can be whole again." The mist began to lift, revealing a vast meadow bathed in the soft gold of perpetual dusk. Here, lanterns floated freely like stars, caught in the arms of the breeze, casting pools of warm light across the waving grasses. At the meadow's center sat a circle of lantern cats, their fur a spectrum of twilight hues: violet, indigo, rose, and deep blue. Their eyes gleamed with quiet strength and shared purpose. They spoke not in words, but in the hum of their lanterns, a harmony that rose and fell like the breath of the world itself. The dream walker joined the circle, feeling the light of their lanterns weave into hers, a fragile thread of connection that reached out across space and time. Together, they became the guardians of hope, keepers of stories, watchers of dreams. As night deepened, the dream walker felt the gentle pull of dawn, whispering on the horizon. The orchard stretched endlessly before her, a place with a past, present, and future, entwined like the roots of the ancient trees that cradled the lanterns. She carried no lantern in her hands now, but within her, a constellation of light burned, steady and true, the light of countless dreams, held gently, carried forward, the light of the orchard itself. The dream walker moved on. A faint glow of the dream of passage nestled close to her heart. The orchard's light shifted subtly as she traveled, sometimes cool and serene, sometimes warm and shimmering like sunlight on still water. The lanterns all around whispered in silence, their light carrying echoes of dreams that spanned countless lifetimes. Ahead, she found herself at the edge of a glistening pool, its surface still and perfect like polished glass. Reflected in its depths was not only the sky, but 1,000 flickering lanterns, dancing like stars captured beneath the water. Seated at the pool's edge was a cat whose fur was a soft mosaic of moonlight and shadow. Her eyes were deep wells of calm, holding the quiet wisdom of 1,000 silent nights. In her paws, she cradled a lantern unlike any the dream walker had seen before, a lantern formed of delicate glass threads, woven like a web, and holding a single fragile feather suspended. In light, this is the dream of memory, the cat said softly. A dream that carries both light and shadow reminders of who we were, who we are, and who we might become. The dream walker reached out, fingers brushing the fragile lantern. The feather inside trembled slightly, catching the glow and scattering. It like scattered dawn. Memory is both gift and burden, she murmured. How do we carry it without being consumed? The cat's eyes held a gentle sorrow. By knowing that every memory, no matter how heavy, is a thread in the tapestry of our becoming. We carry them not to be weighed down, but to be woven into strength. The dream walker sat beside the pool, watching the reflections of lanterns ripple and dance dot in that quiet moment. She understood that the orchard was not merely a place of dreams held, it was a place of transformation, where light and shadow intertwined, where beginnings and endings kissed gently beneath the endless sky. Rising, she felt the soft brush of wings near her, a small lantern cat with fur like spun. Silver, carrying no lantern, but glowing faintly with an inner light. You carry many dreams now, the little cat said. But what of your own? The dream walker looked down, her eyes reflecting the glow of countless lanterns. My own dream, she whispered, is still unfolding. The small cat nodded, her eyes shining with quiet encouragement. Then hold it gently, she said, and let it grow in its own time. With the dream of memory cradled softly, the dream walker rose and continued her path. The orchard stretched out like a dream made real endless, intricate, filled with the soft breathing of hopes, both fragile and fierce. Dot, as she walked, the first pale light of dawn began to break across the horizon, folding the world in hues of rose and gold. The lantern cats watched her pass, their eyes deep pools of memory and light. And the dream walker knew, in this place without clocks, where shadows forgot how to behave, every dream was a light carried forward, a story waiting to be told. The dawn light stretched its fingers across the orchard, casting long, soft shadows that mingled with the glow of the lanterns, like whispers in a half-remembered dream. The dream walker moved with deliberate calm, each step echoing in the stillness, a rhythm shared with the unseen pulse of the world around her. Dot, beyond the pool of memories. The path narrowed and wound upward through a grove of silvery birch trees, whose leaves shimmered faintly like fragments of moonlight caught in a gentle breeze. Lantern cats gathered there, their forms delicate and varied, as if spun from the light and shadow of the trees themselves. One among them approached, a cat, with fur as pale as the birch bark, and eyes the color of the morning sky just before sunrise. In her paws, she held a lantern woven from spun glass and sunlight, glowing warmly with a light that seemed both ancient and new. This is the dream of becoming, she said softly, her voice the rustle of leaves stirred by a gentle wind. The hope to grow, to change, and to find one's own place within the endless unfolding. The dream walker knelt beside her, fingertips brushing the delicate glass. To become is to be both root and branch, she said thoughtfully, grounded yet reaching beyond what we know. The cat's eyes gleamed with quiet joy. Yes, to become is to embrace the dance of light and shadow within. Asterisk, the path led them next to a clearing, bathed in soft golden light, where lanterns hung like ripe fruit from trees that seemed to glow from within. The air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers, jasmine, honeysuckle, and something sweet and unfamiliar, as if the orchard itself were exhaling its ancient breath. Here, a lantern cat with fur, as rich as autumn leaves and eyes bright as amber, stood watching over a lantern, pulsing with gentle light. The dream it held was one of home, a longing not just for place, but for belonging and safety. The dream of home, she said when the dream walker came near. A wish for sanctuary, for a quiet space where the heart may rest and be known. The dream walker smiled, feeling the weight of the dream settle softly around her like a warm cloak. Home is the harbor for all our journeys, she said. The place where we gather strength to face the world. The amber-eyed cat nodded, her gaze steady and kind. And it is here, in the orchard, that every traveler may find their way back. As the day unfolded, the dream walker found herself drawn to the edge of the orchard, where the trees thinned and the horizon stretched wide and open. The lanterns here hung lower, their light mingling with the morning mist like tiny lantern fires, flickering in a field of stars. Among them sat a solitary cat, her fur a tapestry of twilight and dawn, her eyes deep pools of quiet longing. She held a lantern woven from threads of silver and shadow, inside which a dream flickered softly, a dream of forgiveness and peace, fragile but glowing with steady warmth. "Why do you carry this dream alone?" the dream walker asked gently. Twilight Cat looked up, a soft sigh passing through her lips. "Because forgiveness is the heaviest burden and the lightest gift," she said. "It must be held in solitude before it may be shared." The dream walker reached out, her hands gentle as the morning breeze. "Then let me help carry the weight," she offered. The cat's eyes brightened, and together they lifted the lantern. Its glow deepened, filling the space around them with a tender radiance that seemed to heal the very air. Asterisk, the dream walker felt the orchard shift around her, as if awakening from a long dream. The light of countless lanterns wove into a tapestry of hope and memory, of sorrow and joy, of endings and beginnings intertwined. And beneath the oldest tree, the one made not of wood, but of light and silence, she paused once more. The first. Lantern Cat sat waiting, her empty lantern glowing with the gentle promise of all dreams yet to come. The dream walker bowed her head in reverence, feeling the quiet strength that passed between them, like a shared breath dot in this place without. Clocks where shadows forgot how to behave, the dream walker carried forward not just the light of the lanterns, but the weight and wonder of every story held within the orchard. Asterisk, the dream walker's journey through the orchard had settled into a rhythm as gentle and timeless as the glow of the lanterns themselves. Each step was a quiet hymn, each breath a shared secret with the trees, the wind, and the cats that kept the lantern's light alive. But on this day, unmarked by clocks or calendar, something shifted. The air carried a new scent, not just of moss and memory, but of earth freshly turned and of footsteps unfamiliar. Ahead, where the path forked beneath branches heavy with lanterns humming soft light, a shape moved slight and hesitant at first, then more sure. The dream walker paused. The cats around her still, eyes glinting with curiosity and recognition of something new. From the shadows emerged a figure unlike any she had seen in the orchard. Not a cat, nor quite human, but something that held the grace of both and that true mystery of neither dot. She was slender and tall, draped in a cloak woven of twilight mists and starfire. Her eyes held the deep calm of an ancient sea, swirling with storms and quiet depths alike. Around her neck hung a pendant, a single lantern, small and delicate, flickering with a light no other lantern had borne. The dream walker's heart stirred with an unfamiliar tremor. This was a visitor, a rare arrival from beyond the bounds of the orchard, a keeper of a lantern not yet seen, carrying a dream not yet understood. The visitor stopped a few steps away, her gaze meeting the dream walker's with a mixture of reverence and inquiry. "I come bearing the dream of the lost," she said, voice like the first rain on dry earth. "The hope for those who wander without memory, without name, searching for a place to belong." Around them, the lantern cats shifted, their eyes brightening with recognition and something akin to hope. The dream walker stepped forward, extending her hands in welcome. "Then let us walk together," she said softly. "For the dream of the lost is a journey we all share." As they moved side by side through the orchard, the visitor began to speak of her own path, a tale woven from places beyond the orchard's reach, from lands where time bent differently, where dreams were traded like currency, and where some dreams were lost in the rush of waking dot. She spoke of a world that had forgotten how to hold its own stories. where dreams were cast aside like empty vessels, and where hope was a fragile ember, flickering against the storm. But even there, she said, there are those who remember the light, those who carry lanterns in the dark. The dream walker. Listened, the lantern she carried glowing softly against her chest. She realized that the visitor's lantern pulsed with a light that was at once sorrowful and fierce, a beacon for the forgotten, the unseen, the unloved dot together. They arrived at a new clearing, one unlike any the dream walker had known. Here, the ground was soft and dark, dotted with small lanterns buried halfway in the soil, their light dim but steady. This, said the visitor, is the grove of forgotten wishes. Lanterns once carried with hope, now waiting for new hands to hold them. A cat with fur like the first snow approached, her eyes gentle and deep. I am Soraya, she said, bowing her head in greeting. I tend to these wishes, hoping to breathe new life into dreams once thought lost. The dream walker felt the weight of the grove's silence. Each lantern a story paused. A hope waiting for revival. The visitor knelt beside a lantern flickering. Faintly its glass cracked, but still holding light. This was the dream of a child who wished for a friend, she said. A dream broken by silence, yet never forgotten. The dream walker reached out and touched the lantern. The light inside pulsed stronger, as if stirred by the touch. Sometimes, she said, all a dream needs is to be remembered. Soraya smiled softly. And a dream once remembered can grow again, stronger than before. As the sun dipped below the orchard's horizon, the dream walker felt the deepening presence of change, the arrival of new stories, new guardians, and new dreams. The visitor turned to her. The orchard is alive, she said, not just with the dreams it holds, but with those it will one day hold. And with each new lantern comes a new song, a new story to be told. The dream walker nodded, feeling the pulse of her own lantern grow steadier. And let us be the keepers of these stories, she said. Together, the twilight thickened as the dream walker and the visitor moved through the grove of forgotten wishes. The soil soft beneath their feet, and the lantern's light flickering like hesitant stars, struggling to remain alight. Each lantern told a silent story, whispers of hope, threads of longing woven through fragile glass. Soraya led them toward a lantern nestled beneath a delicate root, its light faint but steady. The glass was clouded, etched with fine cracks like the veins of a leaf. The dream walker reached out, her fingers trembling slightly as she brushed the surface. This lantern once belonged to a dreamer who sought to mend a broken bond. Soraya explained softly, the hope to heal a friendship torn by time and silence. The visitor knelt beside her, eyes reflecting the lantern's gentle glow. Sometimes, she said, the most fragile dreams hold the deepest truths. The dream walker closed her eyes, letting the lantern's warmth seep into her spirit. She could feel the thread of the dream stretch between past and present, fragile yet unbroken dot as they rose. A new presence stirred nearby, a cat whose fur was a soft patchwork of twilight blues and shimmering silvers. His eyes were bright, alert, and held the spark of 1,000 unsaid stories. I am Corin, he said, bowing his head in greeting. A keeper of dreams lost to fear and shadow. I watch over those who dare to hope when the night is darkest. The dream walker nodded, recognizing the quiet strength in his gaze. Fear is a shadow we all carry, she said. But it need not be the end of the story. Corin's lantern hung low, crafted from woven shadows and faint starlight, glowing with a muted but steady light. Each lantern in this grove is a seed, he said, waiting to bloom. Together, the three moved through the grove, their footsteps weaving new paths between the buried lanterns. The dream walker felt the pulse of possibility grow within her, the weight of old dreams lifting slightly as new hands held their fragile light. The visitor's eyes gleamed in the dim glow. There are places beyond the orchard, she said, where dreams are lost to the rush of waking. But this grove is a promise that no dream truly fades. Soraya smiled, reaching out to touch a lantern glowing faintly with soft pink light. Each wish here waits for a keeper, she said, a heart willing to carry it forward. The Dreamwalker's gaze settled on a lantern half buried in moss, glowing softly with a golden light. She knelt and lifted it gently, feeling the warmth spread through her hands. "This is the dream of renewal," she whispered, "the hope that even in endings, there is a new beginning." The visitor nodded. Double quotes. "Every ending folds into a beginning," she said, "and every lantern is a story waiting to be reborn." As night deepened, the dream walker understood that the orchard was changing. It was growing not just in light and shadow, but in the stories it held, the hands that would carry its lanterns, and the dreamers who would walk its paths. She turned to the visitor. "Will you stay with us?" she asked. "To help tend the grove, to carry these dreams?" The visitor smiled, the light in her lantern flickering with warmth. "I will," she said, "for the dream of the lost is the heart of all hope." The dream walker felt the orchard's heartbeat steady beside her own, a rhythm of light, memory, and endless possibility. And in that quiet communion, a new chapter began. Night's quiet embrace wrapped the orchard in a soft, shimmering veil as the dream walker, the visitor, Soraya, and Corin gathered beneath the sprawling branches of a tree unlike any other. Its trunk pulsed faintly with hues of deep indigo and pale silver, and its leaves seemed to hum with a gentle resonance, as if the tree itself held the memories of every dream ever born in the orchard. "This is the Tree of Echoes," Soraya said reverently. "It listens to every story carried by the lanterns and holds them close, a living archive of hope and sorrow, joy and longing." The dream walker reached out, placing a hand lightly against the bark. A soft vibration hummed through her fingers, like a whispered secret shared between old friends. "It is alive," she murmured. Corin nodded, eyes alight with understanding. "More than that," he said. "It is the heart of the orchard. Every dream held here pulses in time with its breath." The visitor stepped forward, her gaze steady. "I have traveled many worlds," she said softly, "but never have I felt a place so alive, so intertwined, with the souls of those who dream." As they circled the Tree of Echoes, the dream walker noticed a faint glow emanating from its roots, a circle of small lanterns, each pulsing gently like the beating of countless hearts. "These are the seeds of dreams," Soraya explained, "lanterns waiting to be born anew, to take shape in the hands of those ready to nurture them." The visitor knelt, carefully selecting a lantern that shimmered with soft green light. "This one," she said, "carries the dream of healing wounds unseen, the quiet mending of hearts broken by loss and loneliness." She offered the lantern to the dream walker. "Will you hold it?" The dream walker accepted the glowing seed, feeling a surge of warmth ripple through her. "To carry such a dream is a sacred trust," she said. "I will hold it with care." Corin stepped forward then, his shadow blending with the trees. "Silver leaves. I have watched over a dream lost to fear," he said, voice low and steady. "A dream that must be met with courage and compassion." He reached into the folds of his fur and produced a lantern carved from black stone, within which a flickering light struggled against the darkness. "This is the dream of facing shadows," he explained. "To embrace the parts of ourselves we hide to find strength in vulnerability." The visitor's eyes softened. "Then we must walk this path together," she said, "for no dream need be carried alone." The four began a slow circle around the Tree of Echoes, their lanterns, casting intertwined glows that shifted and blended like living light. Around them, the orchard seemed to pulse in response, leaves shimmering, petals unfolding, shadows dancing softly. The dream walker felt the threads of connection weave through her heart, between her and the visitor, between Soraya and Corin, between every dream held within this sacred place. In this moment, the orchard was not just a sanctuary for forgotten hopes. It was a crucible for transformation, a forge where light and shadow melded into something new. As the night deepened, a breeze stirred the branches overhead, carrying with it the faint sound of a song, a melody without words, rising and falling like the breath of the world. The dream walker looked up, eyes reflecting the lantern's glow. "Do you hear it?" she asked. The visitor smiled. "It is the song of becoming," she said. "The call to awaken, to grow, and to carry the light forward." Soraya and Corin nodded, their eyes shining with quiet joy. Together, beneath the tree of echoes they raised, their lanterns high, joining their light to the song that echoed through the orchard. A promise, a prayer, and a new beginning. Asterisk, beneath the ancient branches of the tree of echoes, the soft hum of the song of becoming lingered in the air, like a gentle promise. The dream walker's eyes remained fixed on the visitor, whose gaze held a quiet intensity, as if the story she carried was both a burden and a beacon. "Tell me," the dream walker said softly, "where does your journey begin? What brought you to the orchard with the dream of the lost?" The visitor's gaze drifted toward the swirling lantern in her hands, its light dim but unwavering. "My story is woven from shadows and light," she began. "Long ago, I was a wanderer between worlds, a traveler of the places dreams forget. To reach, in those places dreams are fragile, flickering in the dark, forgotten by waking hearts." She paused, her eyes reflecting distant storms. "I carry the dream of the lost because I once was lost myself. Without memory, without a name, adrift in a world that had forgotten how to dream." The dream walker nodded, understanding threading between them like a shared breath. "And the lantern you bear?" she asked. "It is a beacon," the visitor replied. "A reminder that even the most broken dreams can be found again, and that lost souls can find their way home." Soraya stepped closer, her fur catching the soft glow of the lanterns. "The Grove of Forgotten Wishes holds many such dreams," she said. "Dreams waiting for hands willing to carry them forward." Corin's voice joined hers, steady and sure. "Those hands can be many. Sometimes a dream outgrows its first keeper, and new guardians must arise." The dream walker looked at the lanterns cradled in their paws, each one a fragile universe of hope and memory. "Then we are the keepers now," she said, "and the orchard story grows with us." As dawn's first light brushed the orchard, in pale gold, the tree of echoes seemed to breathe with renewed life. The seeds of dreams pulsed brighter, their lights intertwining like threads of fate. The visitor lifted her lantern high. "Let this light guide us," she said. "For in carrying the dream of the lost, we carry all dreams waiting to be found." The dream walker stepped forward, joining her. With each step, a new story begins. Asterisk, the dawn deepened, casting long shadows that twined with the soft glow of the lanterns. The visitor's eyes reflected the rising light as she began to unfold her story, tale that stretched beyond the borders of the orchard into realms both strange and familiar. Was born in a world where dreams were currency, traded and bartered in crowded markets under smoky skies. There, to dream was a luxury, and many were left with nothing but flickers of hope, easily stolen or forgotten. She paused, gaze distant. "I was a dream thief once, though not by choice. I stole the dreams of others, not to keep, but to save from being lost entirely. I carried them with me, in a lantern much like this one, until the weight became too great." The dream walker listened, the pulse of her own lantern steady and strong. "In my wanderings, I found the orchard a place untouched by the harshness of my world. Here, Dreams were not commodities, but sacred trusts. And here I was offered a chance to become a keeper rather than a thief. Soraya stepped forward, her eyes warm with understanding. "The orchard welcomes those seeking redemption," she said softly. "It offers healing not just to dreams, but to those who carry them." Corin nodded, adding, "And every keeper here holds a story of loss and hope intertwined." The visitor's gaze met the dream walker's. "I carry the dream of the lost," she repeated. "But here, I also carry the hope of finding my own way, of becoming more than the sum of what I took." The dream walker reached out, placing a hand over the visitor's lantern. "Then together, we walk a new path," she said. "One where dreams are never lost, only transformed." Around them, the orchard seemed to shimmer with a light that was both ancient and new, a light born of forgiveness, renewal, and shared purpose. As the morning deepened, the seeds of dreams at the Tree of Echoes began to glow with renewed vigor. The dream walker felt a quiet thrill, a promise that the orchard story was only beginning, and that with every new keeper, every new dream, its light would grow brighter still. Asterisk days folded into nights and back again, timeless within the orchard's embrace. The dream walker and the visitor walked side by side beneath the shimmering boughs of the Tree of Echoes, their lanterns glowing steady with the light of shared hopes. But as the lantern's gentle glow spread through the orchard, a ripple stirred, the stillness a faint pulse, like a new heartbeat awakening in the soil beneath the ancient trees. From the mist emerged a figure wrapped in twilight shadows, her fur a tapestry of midnight hues streaked with silver. Her eyes glowed with a fierce fire, wild and unyielding. In her paws she carried a lantern, unlike any the dream walker had seen, dark as obsidian, etched with swirling patterns that seemed to shift and writhe like smoke. "I am Naira," she declared, voice low and resonant, "bearer of the dream of reckoning, the hope for truth amidst chaos, for justice where shadows linger." The lantern cats around her bristled with cautious recognition, their eyes reflecting both fear and respect. The dream walker stepped forward calmly. "Naira," she said softly, "your dream carries a fierce light. What brings you to the orchard?" Naira's gaze sharpened, unwavering. "The world outside burns with lies and silence. The dream of reckoning cannot be held back. It must be faced, no matter the cost." The visitor exchanged a glance with the dream walker, their lanterns flickering. In quiet dialogue, "This orchard holds all dreams," the visitor said gently, "even those born in fire and storm." Naira's eyes softened for a moment. "Then let me walk with you," she said. "Let my dream be part of the light that guides this place forward." Together, the dream walker, the visitor, Soraya, Corin, and now Naira formed a circle beneath the Tree of Echoes. Their lanterns cast a kaleidoscope of light, warmth, shadow, hope, and fierce clarity, all intertwined. The orchard listened, breathed, and pulsed with the promise of new stories yet to be told. Naira's eyes burned bright beneath the canopy of the Tree of Echoes, her obsidian lantern flickering like a storm caught in glass. The dream walker watched her closely, sensing the fierce weight carried within that dark light, a flame that threatened to both illuminate and consume. "You speak of reckoning," the dream walker said softly. "But what does it seek to change?" Naira's voice was steady, yet threaded with urgency. "The reckoning is the unveiling. It is the unmasking of silence, the shattering of complacency. There are truths too long buried, and they demand to be heard." The visitor stepped closer, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames. "And yet, here in the orchard, we know that reckoning is not just a storm, it is also the gentle breaking of dawn, the light that reveals wounds so they may heal." Naira's gaze softened, a flicker of hope beneath her fierce resolve. "Then teach me," she said quietly, "how to carry the fire without burning what I love." Soraya and Corin moved to stand beside Naira, their own lanterns glowing warmly. In the orchard, Soraya said, we learned that every fire must be tempered by patience. Every storm must give way to calm. Corin added, and every reckoning must hold space for mercy, or it becomes a shadow that consumes all light. The Dream Walker reached out, her hand resting lightly on Naira's fur. Together, we can hold your dream, she said, not to extinguish its fire, but to guide its light. The five figures Dream Walker, Visitor, Soraya, Corin, and Naira formed a circle beneath the Tree of Echoes. Their lanterns pulsed in rhythm, weaving threads of fierce truth, gentle, hope, memory, and transformation. The orchard breathed around them, alive with the stories held in its soil and sky dot, and in that moment, the Dream Walker knew that the orchard's light would grow stronger still, not by hiding shadows, but by embracing them, learning to walk with both flame and shadow as one. Asterisk, the Dream Walker felt the tension in Naira's fierce gaze soften as the circle of lanterns pulsed gently, weaving their light into a tapestry of strength and compassion. Together, they had begun to create a new harmony, one that balanced the fire of reckoning with the patience of healing. Naira's story was far from over, and neither was the orchard's. New visitors whispered at the edges of the twilight, carrying dreams that had yet to find their keepers. The orchard would hold them all, the lost, the broken, the fierce, and the hopeful, and the Dream Walker would walk its paths, carrying light where darkness once reigned. Asterisk, the orchard settled into a new rhythm, one where shadows no longer whispered fear, but sang of transformation. Naira's fierce flame softened in the warmth of her companion's lanterns, and the Dream Walker saw in her eyes a quiet strength that promised change. But beyond the veils of moss and moonlight, a subtle shift stirred. From the deeper wilds of the orchard came a faint rustle, a presence both ancient and tender, waiting to be unveiled. Out of the mist stepped a small, delicate figure, a kitten, no larger than a wren, with fur woven from twilight's hush and eyes shining like dewdrops, caught in dawn. This was Lyri, the keeper of first light, the newest guardian of a dream yet unspoken. The Dream Walker knelt, offering a gentle smile. Welcome, little one. What dream do you carry? Lyri's voice was soft, almost a whisper. The dream of beginnings, the hope that every dawn brings a chance to start anew. Around them, the orchard seemed to inhale deeply, as if holding its breath for the story just beginning. Asterisk, it began with a sound no one had heard before. Not a wind, not a chime, not a falling petal dot. It was softer than silence, sharper than stillness. A whisper, faint, flickering, not spoken aloud, but inside the light of a lantern. The Dream Walker heard it first while resting near the roots of the Tree of Echoes. Her fingers traced the spiral knots in the bark, her breath slow and deep. Lantern cats napped nearby, curled like question marks in the moss, their soft breaths pulsing in time with the rhythm of the orchard dot. Then came the sound again, a breath within a breath, a voice that didn't belong to anyone, and yet belonged to every lantern. The Dream Walker sat up, her eyes wide. A voice had spoken, only one word, a name, not hers, not anyone's she recognized, but the way it hung in the air, unresolved, unfinished, told her it used to belong to someone, and that someone had been forgotten. She sought the Tree of Echoes for guidance. Its branches shimmered with lanterns, half-formed seeds of unborn dreams, and deep within its core, it thrummed with timeless wisdom. Placed her palm against its bark and closed her eyes. The whisper came again, stronger now, less like a word, more like a longing. A tug in her chest, pulling somewhere. Did you hear it? She asked aloud, though no one was near. I did. The voice belonged to Corin, who stepped through the hanging vines, his pause silent against the moss. His starlight-flecked fur glowed faintly. He was holding a lantern unlike his usual, a dull gray sphere as if carved from mist. It did not glow. "I found this near the western edge," he said. "Hidden beneath the roots of a sleeping tree. It was cold. It shouldn't exist." The Dreamwalker took the lantern. It was hollow. Not broken. Not dimmed. Not fulfilled. Empty. But inside its emptiness, something turned. Not light. Not shadow. Not memory. But something watching. Later, under a full circle of lantern cats, the keepers gathered to examine the strange lantern. Nyra, her flame-like lantern flaring beside her, paced in short, uneasy loops. "This isn't a dream," she growled. "It's a void. What if it's not from the orchard?" Soraya tilted her head, eyes narrowing in thought. Or worse, what if it was once part of the orchard and was taken from it? The visitor said nothing. She was kneeling before the lantern, her fingers lightly tracing the etched lines around its base. "There's writing," she whispered. The others leaned in. The faintest inscription, worn by time and moss, had been etched into the foggy glass. "I was forgotten before I ever existed." A chill passed through them all. The dream walker could not sleep that night. The whisper in the lantern had grown clearer, but not louder. It pressed behind her ears like the moment before waking, like something trying to dream of itself. Was forgotten. She lit a small circle of lanterns around her. Each held a familiar warmth, the dream of first steps, the dream of returning home, the dream of learning to forgive. Each one pulsed steadily, content in its purpose. But the void lantern remained still, cold. And yet, she heard another whisper, a second word, key. The next morning, the visitor made a discovery. "There is no shadow where the void lantern rests," she said. "Not even in full sun," Corin confirmed it. "I placed it beneath the tallest branch. The light fell on it, but no shadow came." Nyra's tail flicked, her flame burning hotter. "A thing without shadow does not belong." "Or perhaps," murmured the Dreamwalker, "it belongs too much, so deeply that it erased even its shadow." The others fell silent. Soraya, ever the patient one, broke the quiet. "There are old stories," she said, "of lanterns not born of dreams, but of fears. Lanterns that form when a dreamer refuses even to wish. When hope is so deeply buried, it doesn't die, it becomes forgotten." The Dreamwalker stood, the void lantern now swaddled in moss in her hands. "Then we must find the origin," she said. Corin's ears twitched. "There is a place beyond the orchard's western edge. It is not forbidden, only avoided. We call it the Hollow Grove." "The place where the uncarried dreams rest," said the visitor. "No," Nyra said, voice firm. "The place where the dreams refuse to be carried." The group looked at each other. Then down at the lantern. It pulsed once. Faintly. Almost a breath. And the whisper returned. This time clearer. Not a name, not a word, but a plea. "Remember me." They departed that dusk. The Dreamwalker led the way, with the void lantern cradled to her chest. Corin walked beside her, eyes vigilant. Nyra took the rear, her fire lantern held high. Soraya and the visitor flanked either side, their own lanterns glowing with careful resolve. They left behind the Tree of Echoes, past the Grove of Forgotten Wishes, crossed the Mothwing Bridge and the River of Unfinished Songs. Then they reached the threshold no cat had dared cross for generations, the border of the Hollow Grove. The trees here were twisted, grown sideways as if turning away from something. No lanterns hung in their branches, no moss grew on their bark, no cats had ever kept vigil here. The light grew quiet. Still. Even the stars dimmed. And in that stillness, The void lantern pulsed once, then again, and the whisper spoke again. Open me. Asterisk, the boundary was not marked by stone or sign. It was felt like a breath held too long. Like a memory you're sure you forgot for a reason. Where the orchard ended, the hollow grove began. Here, the trees still grew, but differently. Their bark curled inward as though ashamed. Their leaves were colorless, trembling in a breeze no one could feel. Lanterns did not hang here. There was no glow. No cats stood vigil. No dreams whispered their names. And yet, the void lantern pulsed with a quiet eagerness, as if returning. The dream walker held it tighter, her steps careful. This place, it remembers. Corin nodded, his fur bristling. Or it remembers being forgotten. Soraya moved gently between the trees, her paw steps unnaturally loud in the hush. I feel no anger here, she whispered. Only expectation. The visitor stepped beside her. It's waiting. Naira kept her fire lantern high, casting soft golden light. Then let's find out what for. They walked in silence. The further they went, the more the light behind them seemed to shrink, not fade, but retreat, as though the orchard itself didn't want to follow. Then the grove opened, a clearing sunless. Shadowless, breathless. At its center stood a monument. A column of twisted roots spiraled upward, wrapped in vines of ash gray. At the top hovered something faintly glowing, a broken shard of glass, perhaps once part of a lantern. It shimmered with barely contained pain. Around the base, half buried in soil and time, were dozens of unlit lanterns. Cracked, empty, abandoned. Each one bore a single, identical etching, never named. The void lantern pulsed, harder now, and the whisper returned. I was not chosen. I was not loved. I was not born. The dream walker approached the monument. She placed the void lantern at its base. It didn't fall. It sank into the earth, as if the soil had been waiting to take it back. The wind stirred. The trees did not move, but something rose. A sound. Not music. Not language. It was mourning. A chorus of what could have been. Dreams never named, never shaped, never dared to live. The dream walker closed her eyes and saw a vision. A child, alone in a small room. He reached for the stars on his ceiling and whispered wishes into the dark, but no one heard. No lantern cat came. No dream formed. Each night, he stopped wishing a little more. Until he stopped entirely. And the world forgot he'd ever tried. She opened her eyes. The vision faded, but in the silence of the grove, something changed. From the base of the monument, one lantern began to glow. Not brightly, not surely, but truly. Its light was dim, like the first ember of a long-dead fire. The visitor stepped forward and lifted it. It's not a dream yet, she whispered. It's a question. Naira touched her fire lantern to it. The ember flickered. I see rage, she said, not at others. At the self, at being unworthy of dreaming. Soraya touched her lantern. I see longing, she said. The kind that curls inward until it believes it has no right to be heard. Corin stepped close. I see waiting. A soul that sat too long in silence. Then the dream walker knelt beside the glowing lantern. She placed her hands on it. I see possibility. And the lantern changed. It shimmered, first with sorrow, then with trembling light. The spiral of roots surrounding the monument cracked open, revealing a narrow stair carved into the earth. The light from the lanterns illuminated the first few steps. The dream walker looked to her companions. We're being invited in. Naira's ears twitched, or lured. Corin nodded. Perhaps both. Soraya, gentle but resolute, stepped forward. Either way, we go together. Below the hollow grove, the spiral stairs led into a chamber unlike anything in the orchard. No vines, No moss, just smooth, carved stone. On the walls were murals ancient, dust-covered, depicting lantern cats without lanterns. Their paws were outstretched, their eyes closed. Above them, blank spaces where lanterns should have glowed. Beneath them, pools of shadow. The dream walker moved closer. These are failed dreams? The visitor shook her head. No, unacknowledged. Dreams that flickered in someone's heart, but were never given form. A low hum filled the room. The void lantern, now fully awakened, floated above them. A voice spoke, not in sound, but in understanding. Why do some dreams never get to be born? No one answered, not because they didn't know, but because it was the wrong question. The dream walker placed her hand on the wall. The right question is, how do we remember the ones we never met? The room shuddered gently, and then to there. Astonishment. A lantern cat stepped from the mural. Its body was faint, half-formed, translucent, as though caught between being and not being. Its eyes locked onto the dream walker. It did not speak. It simply bowed. And then gave her something. A lantern. Small, smooth, unmarked, but warm. Warm with beginning. When she took it, a name loomed in her mind. A name never spoken before. A name not hers, but one meant to be spoken. Iro. The translucent cat flickered, then smiled, and disappeared. The lantern in her hands flared to life. Not with light, with color. It shimmered with every hue. Not yet named. And the whisper spoke once more. You remembered me. Above, in the hollow grove, the twisted trees began to straighten. Color seeped into the leaves. The wind returned, carrying the scent of starlight and renewal. And far away, deep in the orchard, new lanterns began to flicker into being lanterns. For dreams that had never dared to be born, now stirring in the hearts of those who had forgotten how to hope. The name Iro shimmered through the orchard, a note added to a song that had always lacked its final chord. From the hollow grove's newly awakened soil, more voices rose, not loud, not demanding, but gentle echoes finding their way back into the music of dreaming. One by one, lanterns that had once been hollow began to glow. Their light was soft, uncertain, like seedlings just breaching the earth. The dream walker carried Iro's lantern in both hands, and wherever she walked, the void seemed to shrink. The hollow grove, long thought barren, now breathed with possibility. Saray attended the grove's edges, planting mosses that hummed with sleep magic. Corin guided new paths from the grove to the Tree of Echoes, each lined with lanterns once forgotten. Naira stood as sentinel, her fire now tempered, watching the shadows so they might not creep back in. The visitor remained close to the Tree of Echoes. She studied the newly forming lanterns, each of which whispered half-dreams. Together with the dream walker, she began assigning the lantern cats, both old and newly awakened, to watch over these rediscovered dreams. Some of the forgotten dreams had no words, only sensations, a longing to be touched, the smell of rain on stones, the taste of a song never written. Others held powerful truths wrapped in silence. A boy who once wished he could cry, a girl who prayed to forget her own name. All were honored. All were placed in lanterns. And above all of them, the Tree of Echoes pulsed stronger than ever before. Asterisk. The dream walker kept Iro's lantern close, for it glowed with something unique, not memory, not hope, but forgiveness. As days passed, the translucent form of Iro gained substance. His steps stirred the grass. His breath fogged the air. His eyes, though still rimmed with silence, carried joy. Why did you remember me? He asked the dream walker one evening, as they watched lanterns sway in the windless air. Because the forgotten are still worthy, she said. He bowed his head. And I will carry the dreams of those who still can't dream. And so, a new path in the orchard was formed, the path of echoed light, where Ero led newly born lantern cats through the hollow grove, helping them find the dreams they were meant to keep. The void lantern that once carried only absence was placed at the base of the Tree of Echoes. Its silence was no longer empty. It was now peace. Asterisk time in the orchard was not measured in hours or days, but in lanterns lit, dreams mended, names remembered. One morning, before the color of dawn could reach the leaves, the dream walker found a lantern waiting at the gate. It was unlike any other. It pulsed not with light, but with breath. Inside, a single dream curled like a sleeping fox. To rest finally. To be held by something gentle. To sleep without fear. It was a gift not from someone in the orchard, but from someone far away. Someone watching. Someone weary. The dream walker touched the lantern and whispered, "You are safe now. I will hold this for you." And she placed it in a branch just above the orchard gate, where its light would fall on all who entered. The final lantern did not glow brightly. It pulsed, slowly, like the heartbeat of someone who had just begun to fall asleep. Asterisk. You've wandered far to arrive here, past busy thoughts, through shadowed feelings, into the quiet orchard where lantern cats dream. Here, every leaf listens, every light remembers. And you, yes, you have a lantern waiting. You don't need to name your dream tonight. You don't need to carry it alone. Let the orchard hold it for you. Let the cats keep watch. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts settle like petals on still water. Are safe here? You are remembered. You are enough. Let the lanterns glow. Let sleep come. Let go.